Okay. Last time I checked, commission's commission, baby.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, if you're going to stay in Southwest Florida, all right, west of I-75 is expensive.
West, yeah, it is. It's ridiculous. It really is. Then you throw on interest rates of what they're at.
Well, we've talked about it off air for a while, and Felipe, I mean, I don't know how Felipe's generation can afford to stay in Southwest Florida. I don't know how, if you go to FGCU and you want to call the 239 home, I don't know how you can afford to stay.
Lehigh, San Carlos Park, and that's a stretch.
But it's I know. The problem, though, is that it's not like there are any other options really in the state. I mean, you could go inland. You could maybe try to find something between Port Charlotte and Sarasota. Port Charlotte and Venice. I mean, maybe.
Could have gone to bed after the first period last night. That game was obvious it was going to go that way. They couldn't skate with them.
Well, they needed to slow them down, which they've done at times in that series. I mean, I will say they were given enough power plays. They score on one of them.
Oh no, I know. It just was
1-0.
It was like the ice was tilted all night.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna let them play that style, there aren't many teams they're gonna lose to. If you're gonna let them play their game. Hey, Canada Relief, you got out of the first round once in 19 years. You know a little something about not getting out of the first round. I mean, if I'm the general manager of the Rangers, I'm sick to my stomach. What in the world more am I supposed to do? I got 2 checkers and 2 scorers at the trade deadline. I mean, look at the Rangers lineup. I mean, seriously, like, he's supposed to do a better job than what he did.
The guys didn't perform. I mean,
no, it's on the players.
Gallant said it after the game. We had 5 goals in every game that we won. We had 2.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. Even May got off to a hell of a start. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network. FloridaSportsNetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Top of the morning to you, Mark. How are you?
I'm doing terrific this morning. How about yourself, David?
Well, doing all right. I mean, my team lost a game 7. That's always a bummer.
I know.
Always a bummer. But you know what? When you get outplayed, I mean, it's not like they lost 4-3 in overtime like the Bruins. You know, when you get outplayed at various times, you can go, well, you know what? You got to tip your hat. The other team deserved it.
Yeah, last night the Devils were just simply better.
Yeah.
And it wasn't close.
No. And in a 7-game series, when you score 15 goals in your 3 wins and 2 goals in your 4 losses, I think it's pretty self-explanatory what went on. And congratulations to the Devils. Came from a 2-0 deficit down against a supposed better playoff-tested team. Well done. Coaching, a backup goalie, belief, little cliche things like that.
On youth and speed at the end of the day.
Never a bad thing.
Never a bad thing at all, because the Devils can skate, and that should be a pretty entertaining series that no one's going to watch between New Jersey and Carolina.
Well, quite frankly, most of the rest of the NHL playoffs are going to be very entertaining, and I don't know how many people are going to watch. I mean, let's face it, the nation's not going to be captivated by the Panthers and the Leafs.
No,
we
they're
will
not.
be. We will be. Okay, at least our nation. Now, north of the border, they're thinking they can have an all-Canada final. They're looking at Connor McDavid in Edmonton, and they're looking at the boys in Toronto, and they're thinking, it's the seas are parting for us here. Gone is Boston. Gone is the Rangers. This is our year. It's 1967 all over again. Maybe. Then again, those of us, it's kind of like, Milwaukee and Phoenix played an NBA final a couple of years ago. Everybody looked around and said, where the hell are the Celtics, the Lakers, the Warriors? What's going on here? No. It's Milwaukee and Phoenix. Wait, what? Really? We're letting them play in the finals? Yeah, they're allowed. They're in the league. Yep, they won. Games were televised and everything. It's like Mark, you and I are both big fans of the hockey lockout. League came back and was significantly better on and off the ice. But the first year after the lockout, Carolina and Edmonton were in the Stanley Cup final. And I mean,
not ideal.
No, it really wasn't. And I mean, the play getting to there was sensational. But Carolina, Edmonton, all righty then. Yeah, you, me, and about 37 other people were watching that baby. Yeah. So that's all right. It's sports. Love it. It's why we watch. And don't you love, I mean, it is crazy when you think about it, why we bet. And we bet as a nation. We bet.
We've never bet quite like we're betting right now.
Right. Listen, I don't want to say betting's out of control. The state of Ohio yesterday made an announcement. We will not take any more money on the University of Alabama baseball games. There's been some suspicious activity on Alabama baseball. Hello. Yeah, I've never seen it go that far down the sports food chain before. But that's what the state of Ohio announced yesterday. And that's usually how it happens, folks. Every state regulates itself, and they're the ones that usually go, why do we have so much money that was placed on this game? And they're the ones that look into it. I mean, what, like the NCAA is going to go, wow, that's some suspicious activity on the Alabama LSU baseball game. Yeah, please. Like they're paying attention. Like anyone's in charge. But, I mean, this is the beauty of sports. You assemble teams that on paper, I mean, we're great. We're loaded. And yet you put them on the court or on the ice or on the field and they get beat. And you have to figure out what went wrong. I mean, that's tough to do. And yet, like, look at the Florida Panthers, Mark. They win the President's Trophy last year. And they struggle mightily to get out of the first round. They get swept in the second round. They get schooled. They get told in no uncertain terms, you guys, you're fooling yourselves.
You're not good enough.
No, you're not
to win. Not to win in March and April.
Right. There's no way.
Or April and May, I guess now. But you know the point. And that's what we found, we're on a run here in hockey where the regular season means nothing.
Right?
Nothing.
Nothing. Like Colonel Klink. Nothing. Nothing at all. But look at what the Panthers GM did. Gutsy move. He said, the Lightning, thank you for what you showed us. I don't think I would have seen it unless you put it on full display. We got to make some major changes here. And, initially people would go, what the hell are you talking about major changes? You guys scored like 120 points. You had the most wins in the league. What? They got a better goalie than us. A couple of bounces. And the Panthers went, no, it's a lot more than that. And they shook up their team. Traded away good players. Really good players. And now they put a team together that in the regular season, 30 points behind last year's team.
New coach,
Postseason?
first half of the season, they were figuring things out. After the All-Star break, they were a pretty damn good hockey team. They had to be in order to make the playoffs.
Right. And now you look at them and you go, wow, kind of a salty team. In fact, not much they can do if their goaltending holds up. Big if. But if their goaltending holds up. So that's the part of, you know what, Mark? It's like everybody who plays fantasy sports. And you sit there and you play GM and you go, how the hell is my team losing? Look at this team I put together. When we did the draft, everybody congratulated me.
Even Yahoo gave me an A+ on my team.
What do you mean I'm losing? How could I be losing? Look at my team. Sports, man. Don't know what to tell you. Ah, love it so.
And as much as Vegas knows, there are times they know nothing. Because last night, the Boston Celtics were a 10-point favorite. That's Vegas
10!
telling you that they're not going to lose.
And besides, between the Celtics and the Bruins, they had lost their last 4 home games. They weren't going to lose their last 5. I mean, please. I mean, Joel Embiid's not playing. He's going to win the MVP. How the hell are you going to beat the Celtics, the deepest team in the league, without the league MVP? James Harden is old and slow. What? Tyrese Maxey? Tobias Harris? Come on. In Boston? Please. Why am I even watching this? Wow.
Wow, because James
Sure
Harden's going to do
entertaining.
some James Harden things.
You know, you can be old and slow, but you don't have to be old and slow every day. I will say, though, I do think James Harden appreciated them putting Al Horford on him late because he thought to himself, you know, that guy's older and slower than I am. I mean, he may be bigger, but he's older and slower. I got this. I mean, if you really wanted to stop me, I mean, maybe Tatum or Brown on me down the stretch. Maybe, you know, Marcus Smart, perhaps.
Or just let him switch out to Horford and a simple pick and roll and get exactly who you want to defend him.
Every time down the stretch.
Or just triple team him since he had 42 before he took that shot.
Well, I mean, you knew he was going to shoot. I'm with you. Run 2 guys at him and say, James, I got to let somebody else beat us here. I can sleep if Tyrese Maxey beats us. I can definitely sleep if Tobias Harris beats us. I am not going to sleep well if you beat us. Oh, good. We got Al Horford on him. That's just what I want. That's why we watch. That's why we watch. Love
And they
it.
were nice enough to give us that 3 in an intermission of Game 7 Devils Rangers, too. I mean, it was really nice how the break in the games worked out for those of you working the thumbs on the clicker last night to be able to get the biggest part of both. If you were watching the hockey, you got the biggest part of the basketball. If you were watching the basketball, you could flip over and get the third period as Jersey put the game out of reach.
Speaking of which, listen, we need some congressional intervention. I mean, it's not like they're doing anything important these days. They haven't done anything important for a very long time. So they need to step in and do something. Need to get Senators Rubio and Scott on this right away. Right now, between the NBA and the NHL, they have both the Heat and the Panthers playing at the same day and same time. Seriously? Seriously. You can't stagger this? One plays Tuesday, one plays Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You get the idea? Okay, that's how you do it. You want to capture a city, particularly if you're the NHL.
Wasn't
There are
this an
19
issue last year as well?
Yeah, right. You got 19 people paying attention to the Florida Panthers in South Florida. They've only been there 30 years. 19 people are paying attention to them. They just pulled off arguably the biggest upset in Stanley Cup playoff history. You might actually have a few people paying attention to them, and they're going to put them up head-to-head against the Heat. Seriously? Redo the schedule. Can't be that hard, Mark, right? You used to schedule. I mean, you call the league up and you go, yeah, we got a tractor pull that day. I need you to move it.
A little more difficult at the levels they're at, but I understand your complaints.
I mean, How hard can the phone call be? Well, why do we need to move it? The Heat are playing at the same day and time. You ever heard of them? They kind of own the South Florida sports scene.
Don't know what to tell you. They don't much care.
No, they don't. No, they don't. Apparently, they don't want people to watch. I
Well,
mean,
they don't want.
especially-
We don't want Canadians to come this late in the year. Apparently, that's the one thing we do not want.
You know who I thought is in charge of the Florida Panthers ticket? Mark Miller. I mean, because right now the Panthers, they're about as anti-Canadian as you are. If the Canadians promised to tip appropriately when they bought the playoff tickets, would you let them buy them?
They can get them on the aftermarket. I hate this. You know I hate this. If you had a great fan base, you would sell the tickets. You only do this because your team doesn't sell enough tickets during the regular season. It's on them.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. I don't know why I don't look at this Rangers thing. Yeah, they were up 2-0 and they were going back home, but I don't look at it as a choke.
Collapse. I mean, they blew the series. The Devils didn't even play that great in game 3. Man, game 3 was there for the taking. It really was. Now, and even game 4 was tied 1-1 early third. But if you think about it, Mark, I mean, you know how you build teams, and yeah, the Devils can skate a little better than the Rangers, but in the playoffs, I mean, playoff hockey, that shouldn't have mattered. And the Devils turned the series around by going to a 1-2-2 trap.
And a rookie goalie playing out of his skull.
Right.
I mean,
But I will say the Rangers in the 2 home games when the series was in their control, they didn't do enough. They didn't play hard enough. They didn't forecheck. They played East-West hockey, not North-South hockey. You can't play East-West against the Devils.
No, they skate too well.
No. I don't know if anybody, maybe Edmonton, maybe. You can't play East-West with the Devils. No way.
Did you see how the Yankees blew that game yesterday?
I didn't see it.
I watched highlights this morning. I mean, but just guy goes 8 1/3 of pitching great ball, and
they hit 3 base runners. So what do you do with 1 out in the 9th? Give up a hit? They took him out.
Yeah, and then they started. Then he walked, got a couple of base hits, couple of walks. I mean,
88 pitches, by the way.
10 seconds.
88 pitches.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Nice little show we've got lined up today, if we do say so ourselves. David Samson coming up at the top of the hour, as he does 7 o'clock every Tuesday. David Dwork. How about them Panthers, baby? We'll look back and look ahead, just like that. They got to suck it up. They got to play tonight. Next round, let's go. Panthers in Toronto against the Leafs.
Going to be tough for Florida just emotionally to be up early in this game. I know people try to say, it's the playoffs and all that, but after coming back from 3-1, all the work that's done to pull off that miraculous upset, now you've got to gear up for a Toronto team that's hungry and ready, who's been a little more rested than you are. Not a whole lot, but a little more rested than you are. And expect to have that same level of intensity. I really think Florida, to me, got to get through the first 10 minutes of the first period to find their legs and not find themselves down a goal early in this game.
David Dwork, who covers the Panthers, will join us in a little more than an hour. And then we'll look back and look ahead. Pat Kirwan. This may be the last week he joins us twice for a while. Usually post-draft, we do once a week with Pat Kirwan. And usually we move it to Wednesdays. But we'll talk to Pat. I mean, after all, he's chatty. He likes to talk to us for some reason. So we'll bring him on at the top of the 8 o'clock hour. So the Panthers eliminated the Bruins at a little before 10 o'clock Sunday night. And the reason I know that is a buddy of mine goes to bed at 10 o'clock faithfully. And he sent me a text at the beginning of overtime. And he said, "I'm going to bed." And I text, what the heck? It's game 7. It's going to overtime. You can't go to bed. He's like, I don't know if I can stay with it. I'm like, come on, man. You got to alter the plan. I said, can you at least stay with it till, your bedtime? And so he was like, okay, all right, I'll stay with it, And so fortunately, the goal was scored before his bedtime and he saw it. And we didn't have to deal with the issue of, 10:01 on the clock and is he going to bed? Because I probably would have just texted him every 3 minutes. I might have started calling him to wake him up so he couldn't sleep. But so the Panthers had beaten the Bruins mark by about 10 o'clock Sunday night. What do you get? About 12 hours to enjoy it?
Sounds about right.
You dressing room, and then, you go to the plane and you fly to Toronto and you check in 2, 3 in the morning and whatever. You sleep. Maybe 14 hours, give them till about lunch yesterday.
Yeah. Probably an optional skate around noon yesterday.
I mean, you know how it works in hockey. Usually there's a late morning, optional skate. They've been playing a lot of tough hockey here. I don't know if they took advantage of it.
No, but there's guys that aren't playing. The roster's big enough that the guys who didn't play have to get some ice time. So there's an optional. They all show up. Everybody shows them in the locker room, gets a little treatment.
Maybe a little team meeting over lunch in which they say, okay, the Toronto Maple Leafs. And they, start going through the scouting report. So figure the Panthers had about 12 to 14 hours to enjoy it?
The players, the coaches less, yes.
Right. Damn assistants. Hey, great job. You got that Leaf scouting report? So we'll talk to David Dwork about the Panthers and whether or not, quite frankly, there's any buzz even. Or did, the Heat doing what they're doing, are they just soaking up all of the Panthers' oxygen?
Well, if I can go by the fan base that I pay attention to most of South Florida sports and their bandwagon fan, Felipe in the Panther jersey yesterday is already converted over. He's got his Heat shirt on today. It lasted a day for him.
Well, it's a Heat LeBron James jersey because LeBron is playing tonight and the Heat are playing tonight. So
okay,
accomplishing both here with the attire.
Well done. And once again, this could be a tough week. Mark, let's face it, he's going to fall asleep Friday during our show. I mean, think about it. The Lakers and the Warriors are going to be playing 10:30 tips. You think Felipe's not going to watch Steph against LeBron? Which means the game's ended 1-ish. I mean, he's going to be getting basically 3+ hours sleep for us this week.
If he was smart, he'd just come in the studio for the fourth quarter, sleep here.
Bring an air mattress.
Listen, I slept. There's a couple of couches in a couple of offices. I slept in one after the hurricane when I flew back into town to get my car. And I got in about 1 a.m. And obviously our show airs when it airs. And I needed to find a couch. And I think it was the radio station down the hall. They've got a couch in that studio. That's where I slept for about 3 or so hours.
That's fantastic. They get there early too. Did they wake you up or did you wake you up?
No, I set my own alarm so I wouldn't be in their studio. Okay,
because they're the first to arrive.
I know.
They get here pretty early in the morning.
I know. Now, see, the funny thing is, you and I, if someone was sleeping in quote unquote our studio, hell, we just let them stay there. We'd see if they could sleep through. How the heck are you?
100%. I put all the lights on. I wouldn't. I'd just put the mood lighting on in here. I'd work in the darkness. Yeah, absolutely.
I did turn off the lighting though. I never understood why the building is, all the studios are so well lit at night. There's no one here. Turn the lights off. But that studio was really well lit. I turned it down to the mood lighting. It was freezing, but I turned it down to the mood lighting. So, but yeah, NBA playoffs, Heat Knicks game 2. Jimmy Butler's questionable. Let me ask you this. If you're the Heat, I mean, Butler sprained his ankle. He was hobbling around the final 5 minutes of the game. 48 hours later, that ankle's not going to be better. I mean, we've all sprained an ankle. Okay, if anything, the ankle might be a little worse 48 hours later. Game 3 Saturday. If you're the Heat, would you make if Jimmy is like 70%?
Then Jimmy plays.
Okay.
And it would be up to him, and I think he would want to play. But, David, I don't think you can take a game off in a series. I don't think you can concede because with no hero, they can't win without Jimmy Butler.
I agree.
They cannot win without Jimmy.
I agree.
I don't see a way.
I think if game 3 was Thursday, they might convince Jimmy, listen, it's all about trying to get to 4. All right. They went 7 for 34 from 3. They're not going to do that again. We're going to have a hard time winning game 2 with you, especially at 70%. And since game 3 is such a quick turnaround, but I'm with you, Mark. I think they try Jimmy tonight. And then they have 4 days before they got to play game 3. Where if it's just not working for Jimmy, they can sit him and say, all right, well, ice it, we'll elevate it, and you got 4 days.
Exact same line of thinking because he's going to want to play. They can't win. I mean, they just, to me, cannot score enough points without the guy who's averaging what right now in the postseason? 35? 30?
Right. You can't leave it up to him. I mean, Please Spo couldn't get him out of the game in game 1. He said, I went to take him out. He said, I'm not coming out. Spo went, oh, okay. Sorry. I'm only the coach. Sorry, man. Didn't mean to offend you. Don't make me bring Udonis in here, okay?
But I think Butler plays tonight. I really do. It says game time decision. Okay. That means he'll be playing at game time.
Yeah. And if he's not, by the way, it lets you know, wow, he's not hurting. That's an injury. If Jimmy Butler's not playing, that's not good.
That means he's 70% for game 3, if you know what I mean.
Right.
And then that means the Heat lose by 40, but
which is okay because they lost game 2 to Milwaukee by like 104. So, okay. Miller and Moulton. The starting 5 is next. David Samson at the top of the 7 o'clock hour here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Did you see the Cowboys released the audio as to their debate as to who they were going to take?
Is this when they took the
What war room? They took the Michigan defensive tackle.
Okay, no, I did not.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
I saw the story that was pretty cool. They took the K-State running back whose dad was the scout, and he had to leave the room when they talked about this kid. And then when they made the pick, the dad got pretty emotional. That was pretty cool too.
And they all got pretty emotional. Like Schottenheimer said, I've been in football my whole life. It's one of the neat, coolest things I've ever seen. Did you see what Dad said to him? Dad called him and said, "Hey, would you mind taking me to work next week?" If Jacksonville wins tonight, Paul, it'll be the Blades and the Icemen in the second round.
Who are they playing?
They're home. I think they're playing Gwinnett.
Okay. I don't know if they showed the second game. And MLB Network had the first Braves Mets game on yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I watched that in the race. Watched a pretty good chunk of the race.
Chastain had a shot.
Took 4 tires. Everybody took 2. We went into the pits in first, came out in third. Broadcasters all said he should have only taken 2. Well, didn't all say he should have taken 2, but said that was the move they would have all made with only 8 laps left.
Are those cars all-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive?
Rear,
yeah.
I was going to say not a lot of Baja on the NASCAR circuit, but I mean, they're always. I mean, they are going to race in downtown Chicago, so might need a Range Rover for that.
And bulletproof glass.
But it is Kentucky Derby weekend.
Got to get our guy on this week, huh?
I reached out to him already.
Here we go.
Kurt Becker?
Kurt Becker.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour, David Samson joins us at the top of the hour. David Dwork to talk Panthers 1 hour from now. Pat Kirwan to talk all things NFL. Bunch of moves still being made. Undrafted free agents, the veteran free agents that had not signed. A lot of them now are picking the team they want to go to. They wanted to see what the depth chart was going to look like before they signed. Today is the deadline for when teams have to decide whether they're picking up a 5th-year option or not. So a lot to talk with Pat about. He'll join us coming up at the top of the 8 o'clock hour before we do our standard fare here. So you got a birthday in the family today.
Yes, my daughter is 9 today. May is a big month for my children. My son's birthday's later in the month. My daughter's birthday is today.
What time was she born?
That's a great question.
I know there wasn't a lot of sleep involved for everybody. So
it was early, and I don't remember the exact time. It was in the morning.
Morning, an AM baby? Okay. All right. So I just didn't know if it'd be one of those things you'd look at a clock at some point today and go, it was right about now. Yeah, okay. So you did the party over the weekend, though, right?
Yeah, we had the party on Sunday. We'll take her to dinner tonight. She's got a restaurant she picked out, so we'll do a little dinner tonight.
Hold on. Take her to dinner. She's 9. Where are we going here?
We'll do a little Japanese tabletop, little hibachi. That's one of, the kids like that. They throw a few flames up there and take a few dollars out of Dad's wallet.
So that's you said to your daughter, you said, hey, it's your birthday. Where do you want to go eat?
Absolutely.
And that's where she chose.
100%.
I'm very impressed with your parenting. And I mean that, because I don't know about you.
I would have picked 9. I would have picked McDonald's.
Right. You know what? I know the restaurant I would have picked. It was a really big deal. The occasional Saturday, we'd go to the Rustler Steakhouse. All right.
And you know what? You may be on to something. At 9, I may have wanted to go to York Steakhouse, which is basically the same thing. It's the cafeteria steakhouse where you start.
Totally.
They put the number on the triangle display number, so you got the number 4 steak or the number 3 steak, and you go through and you grab your salad, your baked potato, and by the end they've got the steak on the grill and they throw it at you.
Because
I know it well.
Right, because when you think steakhouse, you think of your own tray. Right, that's what you think of. At a fancy steakhouse, you walk in, you pick up your own tray, and you go down the cafeteria rail. Right, that's where I would have chose. So it's good to see from one generation to the next, though, the advancement. You went from your cafeteria style steakhouse and then now a Japanese steakhouse instead. I mean, good job.
Up a little bit.
Yeah.
But we can still throw food around at this place, which makes it fun for the 9-year-old.
That is true.
Anytime we get the chop going, that's a good thing.
19 minutes before the hour. Happy birthday to Maddie. Time now for
The Starting 5. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting 5 on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
No Embiid, no problem. James Harden said, for a night, I can get it done. 45 points, including the go-ahead step-back 3 with less than 9 seconds to go. Put the Sixers up 2. They forced a turnover, hit 2 free throws. Philadelphia goes into Boston, which apparently it's not hard to go into Boston and win games anymore. Between the Celtics and the Bruins, they've lost their last 5 at home. Sixers 119, Celtics 115 in game 1 of their Eastern semi. And most everybody's treating this like this is the Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, let's be honest. Most people think either one of these two teams will take care of the Heat or the Knicks. And so whoever wins this series is going to the finals. And that's rightly or wrongly, Mark. That's how, don't you think the winner of this series will be significantly favored over the winner of the Heat Knicks?
100%.
Speaking of which, game 2 of the Heat Knicks is tonight. Knicks are a 6.5-point favorite, which is a bigger favorite than they were in game 1. A, the expectation is Randall will play. B, the expectation is the Knicks won't shoot 21% from 3 again. And 3, Jimmy Butler's a game-time decision with a sprained ankle. So you add it all up, the Knicks are a 6.5-point favorite. Let's go out west, shall we? Denver's held serve at home. It was an ugly one last night. It was 42-40 at the half. Suns led by 3 going to the 4th, and then Denver outscored them 27-14. 14 points for a team with Devin Booker and Kevin Durant in the 4th quarter. Ouch. Nuggets 97, Suns 87. Phoenix went 6 for 31 from 3. That's less than 20%. That's unbelievable.
It's when this game turns awful. When this game's on, when they're making threes, doesn't matter who's playing. When the shots are going in, the game looks pretty. When you get a game like last night, when they keep chucking the 3 because they're trying to get back in it late and they can't make it, it makes for ugly, ugly basketball.
Here's a really bad sign for Phoenix. Michael Porter and Jamal Murray combined were really not good. Like, combined, they scored 15 points. In game 1, they combined for 45. So Jokic was pretty much by himself last night, and you lost. Now, in part because Jokic had 39 points and 16 rebounds. Also, Chris Paul's hurt again. Has anybody ever heard that before in the playoffs? Chris Paul hurt. Left late 3rd quarter. His left groin tightened up. He couldn't go back in the game. Game 3's Friday, though. Suns got 4 days to lick their wounds, get healthy, etc. Booker with 35, KD with 24, but he was terrible shooting it. Game 1 tonight, Lakers and Warriors. Golden State, a 4.5-point favorite at home. The NBA double header, by the way, is on TNT. Hockey, all Devils. Outplayed the Rangers from the drop of the puck. Scoreless after 1. They got a shorthanded goal from Michael McLeod midway through the second period, and the rout was on. 4-0 New Jersey. They win the series in 7. A career backup, Akira Schmid. I mean, he's a young guy, but he had never done anything really in the NHL. He played 20-something games this year. Yeah, well, he came off the bench after they were down 2-0, beat the Rangers 4 out of 5, allowed 2 goals in the 4 wins total. Devils, Hurricanes will actually be a very entertaining series. None of you will watch it. It begins tomorrow night in Carolina. Calgary fired head coach Darryl Sutter yesterday, which is interesting because they got rid of the GM like 3 weeks ago. And then upon further review, decided, we're also going to get rid of the coach. Tonight, Game 1, second round, Panthers and Leafs. And then Kraken and Stars. Dallas a lot more rested than Seattle, if that makes a difference. ESPN, your network of choice for the NHL doubleheader. Baseball, Braves and Mets split a pair. Atlanta 9-8 in the first, the Mets 5-3 in the second. The Braves, by the way, are 19-10. They have a 3-game lead over both the Mets and the Marlins in the division. Bryce Harper is expected to return tonight in Los Angeles for the Phillies. Remember, he had Tommy John surgery after the World Series. And here he is, not even 6 months later? Now, there's talk they may play him at first, not in the outfield. In part, remember, the first baseman tore up his knee late in spring training and, also saved the elbow and what have you. But Bryce Harper, who had a tremendous playoffs last year for the Phillies, expected back tonight. Phillies could use him. They lost to the Dodgers 13-4. LA hit 4 homers. Tough loss for the Yankees.
Really tough loss for the Yankees.
They're in last place, by the way. Cleveland beat them 3-2. Guardians scored all 3 in the 9th. Man, this is a 2023 loss. Although this loss could have happened anytime really in the 21st century because this is how they manage now. So Domingo Germán takes a one-hitter?
One-hitter.
Into the 9th. He's allowed 2 base runners. He gets the first out of the inning. He gives up his second hit. He's thrown 88 pitches. 2-0 lead. Got to take him out. 2 relievers give up 2 hits, 2 walks, 3 runs.
In air.
Guardians win 3-2.
Unbelievable. Boone got booed when he came out to the mound to take him out.
Yeah. 88 pitches. 2-hitter. 3 base runners. What are we doing? Skip, what are you doing out here? You just want to get some TV time? I don't blame you. We're talking about wedding gifts. What are you doing out here? Judge, by the way, put on the 10-day IL. So Stanton and Judge both on the IL.
Imagine that.
Yankees are in last because the Red Sox won. They beat Toronto 6-5. Alex Verdugo led off the bottom of the 9th with a homer. Game was tied. That'll do it. Cubs beat the Nats 5-1. Dansby Swanson hit his second home run of the season, a 2-run shot. Houston scored 5 in the 7th to beat the Giants 7-3. Dodgers, Blake Snell got his first win. He was 0-4 in April. Fernando Tatis Jr.'s first home game since 2021. He had 3 hits. Padres 8-3 over the Reds. NFL news. A lot of nuggets, Mark. You ready?
Go.
Jets signed former Dolphin and last year former Bronco offensive lineman Billy Turner. Right now, he's their swing tackle. He may be the starting tackle. They signed him to a $3 million deal. He played in Green Bay for Nathaniel Hackett and Aaron Rodgers, and he also followed Hackett to Denver. Denver picked up the 5th-year option on wide receiver Jerry Jeudy. Next year, he'll make $13 million. Meanwhile, most teams said no to fifth-year options. Seattle said no to linebacker Jordan Brooks. Baltimore said no to linebacker Patrick Queen. Arizona said no to linebacker Isaiah Simmons. That's a lot of veteran linebackers who look like they're going to be available in the offseason, doesn't it? Buffalo signed veteran running back Latavius Murray to a one-year deal. He's 33. He was actually very productive last year for Denver. Ran for 760 yards and had 100-yard rushing games late in the season twice. Buffalo, Mark, they are giving the impression they're going to run the ball more.
Without their quarterback.
That's the story, and they're sticking to it. We'll see. We shall see. NASCAR, third time in 5 years, the Monster Mile at Dover. They had the race on Monday because of rain. Martin Truex Jr., who grew up in South Jersey, so he considered Dover his home track, snapped a 54-race winless streak. His fourth career win at Dover, his 32nd career win. It was a Truex weekend at Dover. His younger brother Ryan won the Xfinity race on Saturday. That's kind of cool. Dad was there for both wins. So Ross Chastain finished second, had a chance to win. Pit crew made a bad decision that he took 4 tires. Everybody else took 2. That didn't help, especially with only 8 laps left.
Yeah, went into the pits in first, came out in third.
Oh. So he is now first in the points race, though, even though he's yet to win a race this year. And Mark, finally, we've thrown out there a couple times, only half joking, that if you're the PGA Tour, do you consider revisiting the whole cart ban because of slow play? But there is one other factor. Tiger Woods can't walk. Don't take our word for it. Take Jack Nicklaus's word. Jack revealed he's doing some publicity for a Champions Tour thing that he's actually going to take part in. And Jack said, yeah, I talk to Tiger all the time. And at the Masters, Tiger told me, Jack, I actually playing really well. I actually think I can contend to win. I just can't walk. Okay. Just throwing that out there. Don't know if that changes anybody's tune about anything or not.
I wonder if it changes Tiger's.
And remember, Casey Martin was a college teammate of his at Stanford, and I don't believe Tiger was on Casey's side.
He wasn't.
Tiger sided with Jack and Arnie against Casey Martin, and Casey's saying, I'm disabled, I should have a cart. And the three of them said tough. And the courts sided with Casey Martin, for what it's worth, who ended up losing his leg also. And that, Mark, at 7 minutes before the hour was...
That was the Starting Five every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
Do you think walking is an essential part of golf? Yes or no? It's a very simple question.
Yes.
I don't.
I know you don't. I know you don't. And you've walked Augusta. And to tell me it's not a factor at that course, I don't know what it is to me.
I didn't say certain courses aren't tougher than others, but the question is it an essential part of the competition? I don't think it is. Miller and Moulton. David Samson's next.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch. Okay.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Good morning, David.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing great. I see that thing behind you, and I know it's wooden or something like that, but it looks, at first glance, what's behind you looked like a pipe organ. I'm like, is he sitting down to play us a tune?
I'm in the studio at Levitard Studios in Miami.
All right.
I've been filling in as co-host for the last week.
How's it been going?
I do nothing personal from 8 to 8:45, and then this from 9 to 1:30.
Wow.
So it's like you guys. I don't know how you do it.
9 to 1:30?
It's a lot.
That's
a lot
long.
of content. Levitard does a lot of content. I'm here so early, I forgot to tell the guys to turn the lights on. So I'm a little dark, but next Tuesday it'll be lighter.
You're fine.
It's fine. Thanks for doing this.
Of course.
And this is content, because you're doing sports, what, about 10% of the time?
Yeah. No, it's just coming up with things to talk about and trying to be interesting.
Well, I will say there's two stories in the Post. I don't know if these are Levitard-esque story, but the woman having full-body orgasm in the L.A. Philharmonic, in the Michelin star to add semen to dishes.
Yes,
I
saw
may be
both
bringing
those.
semen and dishes coming up later in the show today.
I didn't have that on the bingo card to get me a Michelin star. It gets you a star of some sort, but not a Michelin star. I think it gets you an AVN star.
So, David, we just brought up briefly Jack's comment about Tiger. That Tiger told him, "I can play, I just can't walk." And so, just threw out there, is walking an essential part of golf? And obviously, we had this debate 30 years ago with Casey Martin. Just curious, do you think, walking is an essential part of golf?
I do not.
Okay.
I think it is perfectly reasonable to take a cart. You already have a caddy carrying your stuff. What's the difference? It's not a marathon. It's about who can hit the best golf shots.
So if you're running the PGA Tour, you would change that?
Why is it that people who are disabled, let's say from the waist down, if they can hit a golf ball, let them hit a golf ball?
Well, if you are declared disabled, you can. The courts did uphold that. I mean,
Right.
Casey was
So
allowed to use a
in
cart.
theory, Tiger Woods could get a ruling.
That's interesting, actually.
So that's where my head is, that he should try that, but I don't know that he will.
I don't think he will. Because he was against Casey Martin having a cart, and they were college teammates.
Yeah, Casey, I think, was a senior when Tiger was a freshman. They're 3 years apart. Don't quote me on that. I know they're 3 years apart. Casey's 50, Tiger's 47.
Casey Martin's 50. God damn.
Hey, Tiger's 47.
I don't know when Casey Martin got older than I am, but I guess there you have it. I refuse to get old.
How's your Nick fandom going over on the show?
It has not. I do it as a gig, as a bit. I'm not really a fan anymore.
Gotcha.
I started training for a new race today. I think I'm going to bring it up on Levitard. I'm happy to talk about it on you too.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour number 2 of Miller and Moulton on a Tuesday, and you know how we start that hour every Tuesday with David Samson. He of the Nothing Personal with David Samson daily podcast, 8 a.m. live, and he's got a 3-week stint sitting in for Dan Levitard, doing about 5 hours of radio and podcasting a day. Man, you're working a lot. You want to go back to a major league front office? I mean, you're putting in real hours here.
It's funny. I was just thinking that I'm working harder than I did in baseball. But if I say that, it'll be no wonder the team never won. It just feels different having to try to be interesting or articulate for so many hours with the microphone on when people are looking to cancel you or find ways that you're not interesting or not saying something funny. But it's been great down here in Miami, coming back. It's been strange to be back in Miami for the first time since I left. So there's a lot going on right now in my little brain.
And there's a lot going on in the Miami sports scene. The Panthers and the Heat both win. You've seen upsets. The Panthers doing what they did, taking down the mighty Boston Bruins, the best ever regular season team. I can't imagine being in the front office of the Bruins right now when you put together a year like that and how they have to go through the offseason knowing that they had that series right there within their grasp.
I think if I'm the president of the Bruins, I have on loop all through the offices the press conference that Giannis did after they lost. We are not a failure. We are not a failure. What do you expect us to win every year? Look at Michael Jordan. He didn't win. That's what I would try to do, but my God, it's a failure. I don't know how else to say it. What the Bruins did losing in the first round, it's a failure. And that's okay. You can wear it. You can admit it. But to run away from it, I think, is not instructive.
So did you ever do this with the Marlins, particularly in the playoffs in 2003? So the Panthers right now are trying to prevent Maple Leafs fans from buying up all the tickets. So they've banned you if you're from Canada. You can't log on and get tickets. And I don't know it anymore. Did you ever do that with, let's say, you guys played what? The Giants, the Cubs, and the Yankees. So between the Cubs and the Yankees in particular, did you put some mechanisms in place so that they couldn't buy tickets?
Absolutely not. I want as many people buying tickets as possible, and it's my job to build a fan base so that I don't have to worry about this. Now, I should mention that it's not that you can't go to the game if you live in Toronto. It's that they're not selling you tickets directly. You can still go on the secondary market and buy tickets, which is how so many people get tickets anyway to things. And for me, the juice is not worth the PR squeeze in what they did. I understand what you're trying to do. Let's hold our home court. Let's show them, because one of the Bruins games, there were so many people from Boston, and that's what goes on in Miami. You've got a ton of Cubs fans. They talked about the attendance at the Cubs-Marlins this weekend. It's Cubs fans, and that's what it was when we were there, and that's what it was when John Henry or Wayne Huizenga. It's the same. Dolphins games against the Jets, you don't know where you are. It's totally normal. And for me, I want the revenue. And in the postseason, here's a little nugget for you. MLB's in charge. You cannot do that because the umpires get money, the players get money, the league gets money, the team gets money eventually. So you're selling to anyone and everyone.
And just for the record, on the secondary market, when Leafs fans buy tickets on the secondary market, it's cheaper than any with the plane ticket. It's cheaper than any ticket they can get in Toronto for a game.
So it really is a nothing burger, right? I think I saw that on Twitter. Someone said that. I'm going to talk about it on today's Nothing Personal because everyone gets so emotional about this fact and what makes a good team, what makes a good fan base. And I understand what the Panthers were trying to do. I really get it. But for me, I want to focus on the play on the ice. And this has been a distraction, right? This is what we're talking about. Can you imagine? They just beat the Bruins. They're about to play the Great White North. And the topic around the country is the fact that they're only letting people buy tickets in the continental U.S. It just makes no sense to me.
David Samson, Nothing Personal with David Samson is his daily podcast. He records it live 8 a.m. Monday through Friday. Is a business podcast with John Skipper as well. And he's filling in a 3-week stint, filling in for Dan Levitard on the Dan Levitard Show. Did you ever pick up the phone and call Major League Baseball and say, hey, you got to move this game? Because both the Heat and the Panthers, as it turns out, are now most games in the second round going to be playing same day, same time. Now, the Heat won't play game 3 until Saturday. So on Thursday, the Panthers will be fine. But tonight, Heat and Panthers, same time. Could very well be on Saturday. They're certainly playing the same day, could be same time. Same again on Monday. I mean, that's not ideal for the South Florida sports fan, though we don't know how many fans the Panthers really have. But you know what I mean? Did you ever pick up the phone and call Major League Baseball and say, you got to do us a solid here?
Only when there's a hurricane. So not in playoffs, because the playoff schedule is done with the broadcast partners. So there's no chance that I'm calling up and saying, hey, I really would prefer to have the night game or the afternoon game. I remember in 2003, we had the afternoon game against the Giants in the first round, who at the time, they were the number 1 seed, had the best record. They had Barry Bonds. And why are we playing an afternoon game? But that's how the networks wanted it. I think the Cubs were also in the playoffs at that time. The Red Sox were obviously because they had lost to the Yankees in the LCS. So for me, I always just let the schedule come out. And it didn't matter because we're not selling 100,000 seats, right? We have to fill at pro players 65,000. The Heat have to fill 20 and the Panthers 20. There's enough when there's home games side by side. Now, if there were a traffic issue, here's the interesting part. Like in Philadelphia where you've got the stadiums near each other, where you'd have a football game and a basketball game, let's say, near each other, it is possible that the county would say, hey, we cannot do 2 events. We don't have the staffing. We don't have the first responder staffing. We don't have police. We don't have fire. We don't have ushers, all the game day employees. We cannot hold 2 events at once. That would be something the broadcast networks would know. But one in Broward, one in Dade, or 2 teams playing, one home, one road, that's not going to draw the attention of the networks at all.
When you look at some of the baseball teams, and I'm specifically talking about the White Sox, who are supposed to be a little bit better, Seattle, who is supposed to be a little bit better, the Cardinals, who are always supposed to be a good team. When you're running a team and you start out the way they do, how hard is it to not want to blow things up right now and make a move to shake up the clubhouse?
Well, it's May, so the conversations are happening. In April, you let it go. You say it's early. Now we're on the late part of early or the early part of mid because we're in month 2. So at the end of May, we fired managers in May because we felt that we still were able to salvage the season. Anyone who's firing somebody in May or making big-time player moves in May, they're doing it because they view this season as possible. They're not building for next season. So if I'm the White Sox, I'm looking at their team. They're not firing Pedro. Are there some changes they should be making in their personnel? They're going to say to you, we have to get healthy. So you look for any rationalization that you can find in April, early May. But yes, this is the time when teams are focused on figuring out whether or not they were wrong about their evaluation.
Rays and Pirates have the best records in baseball in their respective leagues. The Diamondbacks are a half a game out of first. You know where I'm going here. What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on?
The union's worst nightmare. We're living it, and I'm loving it, McDonald's. This is amazing. The union is rooting so hard against Tampa and Pittsburgh, I can't tell you. They want them to lose 100 games so that owners realize that if you don't spend money, you can't win games. They are despondent that the Yankees stink. They're despondent that the Padres are just a game over 500. They're despondent at the big market teams like the Mets. Best record. They're behind the Braves. They don't want owners for 1 second to think that spending money does not equal winning. And I am loving it. I truly am. Anything that the union hates, I love. And the question is, who has the best chance to sustain it? And obviously, I believe in the Rays. But if you're the Pirates, you're figuring out, all right, we got to add, because this is a unique opportunity to change the narrative around our franchise. Something's happening here. I don't know if it can last 6 months, but we're going to hold on for dear life. It's like holding on to a Bronco in a bar at 2 a.m. after you've been there for 6 hours. You're holding on and hoping you don't fall, and you're trying to bring in reinforcements. And I think that's what's going on in the Pittsburgh front office right now.
Well, and there, by the way, the Rays and the Pirates start a series today, which
World Series preview, baby.
It is not. I'm willing to give you 1,000 to 1 odds that is not a World Series preview.
Come on.
I don't know what the odds are in Vegas, but I don't see Pittsburgh winning the pennant. It's really hard to be good for 6 months in a row. You can squeeze in a 20-10 month, just like you can squeeze in a 10-20 month and still be a playoff team. It's really hard to be consistent. The Pirates are not going to win 100 games.
I'll tell you what, though, that is a winnable division. Milwaukee may be, at the end of the year, the only above-average team in that division. I mean, it is winnable. The Cardinals look bad. The Cubs are going to be okay.
So the Cubs are outperforming. I'm not willing to give up, and I think this is because I'm stubborn and I picked the Cardinals to win the division. So I'm not willing to give up yet. Their lineup is too good. I know they miss Yachty, but come on. They're not a last-place team. I just don't see the Cardinals finishing behind the Pirates. But again, let's talk about this every Tuesday throughout the season, and we'll watch it develop.
the other side of it is, so the Rays have banked so many wins that what is it? They're playing 500 ball. They're in the mid to high 80s right now. I mean, they're a 500 ball the rest of the season. They're a wild card team, David.
I love where your head's at. We would do that when we had a record at a certain point. When we were playing well. We would always say, all we have to do is play 500 and look how many games we're going to win. Or all we have to do is not lose a game a week, right? If you have a 10-game lead with 10 weeks to go, which is 2 months, 2.5 months, you say, hey, we've got this. Baseball's funny this way. You can have a 2-8, 10-game stretch really, really quickly, and someone has an 8-2 stretch, and all of a sudden they've gained 6 games on you just like that, and you've got to figure out how to hang on. But I'll tell you, the Rays are just deep. They're so deep. And the injuries that are going on in baseball, someone's got to think about this because we've been thinking about it for 25 years in baseball, 24 years. You're signing all these guys, so many injuries, that what you're left with, the Yankees lineup, that's not a $300 million lineup.
Well, I mean, with 30 seconds, you got a solution?
Yeah, I have a solution. It's hard to have pitchers throw 100, and what the hitters are doing to try to figure out how to hit 100 is that they're having soft tissue injuries. The oblique strains are when you're swinging out of your tuchus. The hamstrings are when you're trying to figure out whether we're going to steal bases or get from first to third. It's a very tough game, and the injuries happen, but more preparation off the field is clearly necessary.
Do you think you will say tuchus today on either Nothing Personal or on the Levitard show?
That's always 4-1 because it's always in my mind, and it sounds good on the air.
It's always on your mind? I didn't realize you were a tuchus man.
All I can say, must be a closet MASH fan because there's at least one MASH reference every time we have David on the show.
I am not a closet MASH fan. I am out of the closet. I embrace my MASH fandom. I'll tell you that.
Good for you.
Who knew? I mean, some people are legs men. They are, chest men. You're a tuchus man. That's good to know.
My directors got here and the TDs got here and the lights went on in the state of Georgia. You see that? We're earlier than they are.
All you had to do was say the word tuchus and the lights came on. He's David Samson. Nothing Personal with David Samson. He'll record that at 8 a.m. Monday through Friday. And he's filling in for Levitard for the next couple of weeks as well. David, thanks so much.
See you next Tuesday.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. That is the fastest 13 minutes in sports right there.
Yep. Because he has to prep for his podcast, unfortunately with our clock. This is one of the times in which our clock gets in the way. Because he would do till 20 after. Okay, he can't. The problem is he can't go beyond really 20 after. He's like, I got to get going. But he would do 5 more minutes with us.
I do think it's funny, you and I all the time. Well, if you play 500, because we did that in the office all the time. But I know, because in hockey we did the same thing. You're there. We just play 500 here. That's all we got to do. We're up 12 points. We play 500 the rest of the way. They're not catching us. Means they got to do this, this, and this.
Well, RCB, there's 2 things involved. First off, I think they had already committed to sending Bradley down, and when you send him down, he has to stay a certain amount of time. And then the next day, a pitcher got hurt. So they kind of caught a bad break there with Bradley. Also, sometimes it has to do with, the schedule coming up, and, he'll only pitch for us twice in the next 15 days. But if we bring this guy up as a reliever, he'll pitch for us 6 times. Thank you, Ambien. We love having him too. Four to 1 to say took us.
The Athletic, I don't know if you get that email, the Pulse thing, that's kind of their highlight reel.
Mm-hmm.
They've got a mock draft for 2024, and they've got Arizona picking 1 and 2.
Listen, you and I are on Arizona being on the clock.
Well, and they've got they got Carolina's pick there, so. Or, I mean, the Texans pick there, so you never know.
I don't think Houston will be picking second or third, though. Now, don't get me wrong. I think they'll be picking in the top 10, but like, would it really shock you if Houston went 6-11? No, that would still probably be a top 10 pick, but it's another reason why I hated the Will Anderson trade. Hated it. Does anybody else hate the trade? I mean, am I the only person that hated the giving up what they gave up for Will Anderson? I mean, please. I mean, did they draft Cornelius Bennett, J.J. Watt, Von Miller? Please tell me he turns into one of those players.
Well, it's also because you were down on Will Anderson.
I think he's a good,
right,
very good player. I don't think he's a star. By the way, you know what I've been saying, that Tennessee tackle blocked him all day? Did you see the interview Will Anderson gave at the draft?
No.
Who's the best player he played against this year? Without hesitation, Darnell Wright, Tennessee.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
"21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. David Dwork covers the Panthers. Yeah, they're not getting ready for the offseason. They're getting ready for Toronto. Tonight, north of the border, game 1, second round. After their shocking, historic upset of the Bruins. We'll talk to David Dwork about it. The Clutch Vodka play of the day coming up. Pat Kirwan at the top of the hour.
Panthers given a 17% chance to make the Stanley Cup final, an 8% chance to win it. That's only better than the Kraken.
I actually think that's too high. That means 1 out of 6 times they'd make the final. I don't know about that. It's asking a lot.
Toronto is the odds-on favorite to win the Stanley Cup.
Well, Leafs have had a good few days. Avs, Bruins, and Rangers all getting knocked out. That's a good, and they finally get out of the first round. Been a hell of a 48, 72 hours for the Leafs.
By what I'm looking at right now, your Toronto-Edmonton final is the odds-on favorite to be the final.
Unbelievable. Speaking of odds, so post-draft, come out with the NFL win totals, over-under. 2 teams have the lowest total at 5.5. Can you guess them?
Arizona.
Correct. Come on.
Houston.
Bingo. All right. Ding, 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 ding. Okay. 3 teams are tied for the highest win total. I'll give you a hint. It's 11.5. Who are they?
Kansas City.
Correct.
Philadelphia.
No. I know. Eagles, 10.5.
San Francisco.
Correct. There's 2. One more. Hint, AFC.
Buffalo.
No. Bengals.
Bengals. That was between the 2.
So Bills and Eagles at 10.5. So only 5 teams were given an over-under in double digits. Mark, the 9.5 list is staggering. Jets, Ravens, Chargers, Dolphins, Browns, Jags, Cowboys, Lions, Saints.
Saints?
Thank you.
Saints.
Just want to make sure you heard me correctly.
Well, I was already struggling with the Browns at 9.5, and then you threw Saints on top of there. So
let's-
9 teams have a win total of 9.5, if I counted that out right.
And very quickly, both the Jets and Dolphins from the AFC East, both the Ravens and the Browns from the AFC North. You got the Chargers in the West, the Jags in the South, the Cowboys in the NFC East, Lions, Saints. Love the 8.5 over-unders because you basically have to decide. I know it's possible. Washington was 8-1 last year, but most years you have to figure out above 500, below 500. And of course, Mark, Vegas has a sense of humor. Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season. What's the Steelers over-under?
It's 8.5.
There you go. Pittsburgh, Denver, Minnesota. Remember, Minnesota won 13 games last year. Seattle, Atlanta, and the Giants, all at 8.5. Right now, I am backing up the truck on the Steelers over. Backing up the truck on the Steelers over 8.5. They won 9 games last year. But I digress. We had Houston and Arizona. You had them, 2 lowest over-unders. There are 3 teams given a 6.5 over-under. 3 teams, 6.5 wins. 2 NFC, 1 AFC. That's my hint. Put 25 seconds on the clock, please. Go.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
You are play the lottery today. Do something, baby. 2 NFC, 1 AFC.
The Carolina Panthers.
No.
The Green Bay Packers.
No. Both of them at 7.5.
Bears.
No. 7.5.
Wow.
I know.
Trying to think who's left.
Think bad
Washington?
quarterbacks. There you go. Sam Howell. Vegas not buying Sam Howell. Okay. So there's the 2 NFC. Tampa
maybe the
Bay.
Raiders on the other side?
No. Raiders are 7.5. All right. Think top 5 draft pick. Colts.
Okay. There you
So
go.
Colts, Bucks, and Commanders at 6.5. Texans, Cardinals at 5.5. Vegas. This is Vegas saying, listen, right now we got to bet on teams with a top 5 draft pick. Okay. Indy, Tampa Bay, Washington, Houston, Arizona. New England, Tennessee, Vegas, Carolina, Green Bay, the Rams, and the Bears, all with a 7.5 over-under. So do you think any of those teams will get to 8? New England, Tennessee, the Raiders, the Panthers, the Packers, and the Rams, and the Bears. Remember, Bears won 3 games last year. Do you think they can get to 8?
No, I don't.
I think they can get to 6. I even think they can get to 7. 8?
I'm still confused by the Saints at 9.5.
They probably have the easiest schedule.
There you go. And somebody has to, somebody's going to go 4-2, maybe 5-1 in that division. Remember, they got Carr, far and away the best quarterback in the division. So there you go.
Time now for our Clutch Vodka play of the day. That's Clutch with a K. Felipe, what do you have for us today?
Did you know that before yesterday's game, Celtics-Sixers game I'm talking about, James Harden's over-under for points was 22.5. How you didn't hammer that over is just insane to me because he ended up scoring 45 along with the game-sealing step-back triple.
15 seconds to go. Horford has him out top. James with a dribble. Harden one-on-one. 9 seconds on the shot clock. Harden for 3. Shot up. It's good. Harden made a triple. The Sixers go up by 2. 8 seconds to go. Boston takes time.
Just a deep, contested triple for James Harden, who finished the game with 45.6 rebounds. He shot 50% from 3. Made 7 of them. Philly goes up 1-0. That is what I'm talking about. You need to win these road games in Boston, even though the Bruins, rough 24 hours for Boston fans, huh?
Bad night for the Ushers. Bad night for the Ushers. They root too.
That building is cursed.
between the Bruins and the Celtics, they've lost their last 5 home games. That's 2 in a row for the Celtics, and the Bruins lost their last 3 home games of the season. So we'll say, Felipe, we don't do a lot of individual prop gambling talk on this show, but you are so right. We knew at this time yesterday that Embiid was likely not to play. I mean, none of us thought Philly was going to win. Okay, but we should have bet Harden over 22.5.
I mean, he's a 3-time scoring champion.
Well, and he's going to shoot it.
And he's going to shoot it with no
He's
Embiid.
gonna-
I mean,
yeah.
that's
going to get to the line. I mean,
he said this. He said as much after the game. You take 30 points out of the lineup, somebody's got to make that up.
right.
And I volunteer myself, is what he then said.
And he was clutch all night long. And that's our Clutch Vodka play of the day. That's Clutch with the K. Check him out, clutchspirits.com. Look for him wherever you buy your spirits.
David Dwork, talking Florida Panthers. Coming up next, Pat Kirwan, top of the hour, talking all things NFL.
Between now and then, the text line is open at 21,000. Love to hear from you, your comments. You can tweet at either of us at that Mark Miller or the David Moulton on Twitter, or go to 21,000 to text. The keyword is FSN Radio if you've never texted the show before. We will talk Panthers and Leafs next. David Dwork to join us, Pat Kirwan, in 30 minutes time right here on the Florida Sports Network. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka play of the day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN play of the day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the play of the day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka play of the day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka play of the day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Ambien, I don't know if you're here, but Jokic was incredible. Damn near unstoppable.
And he had to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel bad for Jokic. I mean, he's only had Murray healthy for really only one playoff run. And then he had to face the Lakers in the conference finals. Jokic was drafted during a Taco Bell commercial. You know, Ambien, if you could get a ring, that would help his case.
That's crazy talk.
Oh, no, he'll end up being one of the greatest centers of all time, easily. He just averaged 9.8 assists a game in a season. That's the most in history for a center. He's the greatest passing big man of all time.
No, Bill Walton is, but he's okay. And Walton may not have the assists per year stat to back it up. But if you ever, it's like saying somebody threw the ball better than Joe Namath. Namath's not the greatest quarterback of all time. No one ever threw the ball better than Namath. Okay. No one ever passed the ball as a big man better than Bill Walton.
Joe Namath threw the ball better than Patrick Mahomes.
Yes.
Threw the ball.
Threw the ball. The
Threw
throwing of the ball. Yes. Absolutely. There's nobody who stood flat-footed 8 yards behind center and threw the ball better than Joe Namath. No one. Marino, close. Very close. It doesn't mean they're the greatest quarterbacks. Just saying. You've got to check out some Bill Walton. By the way, how about Kevin Love's 3 assists against the Knicks in game 1?
Yep.
All of them traveling 60+ feet. That's beautiful. Michael, the season's 7 months long. That's the first time you've ever said anything about the Denver Nuggets.
David's on hold. Ambient, do you have a better chance against the Warriors or the Lakers, in your opinion?
I think they have a better chance against the Warriors.
I agree.
All right. I don't
eat Looney for breakfast.
What in the world's Golden State going to do with Jokic?
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Pat Kirwan will join us, talk all things NFL. At the top of the hour, David Dwork is still working. And considering his main gig is covering the Florida Panthers, who thought that would be the case? Channel 10 in Miami, the Hockey News, Chirpin' the Cats podcast. Follow him on Twitter at David Dwork, DWORK. Come on now, a week ago, what'd you think the odds were you'd still be working?
Pretty slim. Did not expect to be charting away another series. Not that I'm upset about it at all.
No.
But yeah, I don't think anybody saw this coming except the guys in that locker room.
What impressed you most about their Game 7 performance?
Probably just the way the same thing that they did kind of throughout the series, the way that they skated with Boston, the way that they took away all their space. They basically threw their game right back at them, something that I'm sure the Bruins had not experienced throughout the season. I mean, from the fact that they scored the way that they've been scoring all year, late in the season, or late in the series rather, against Boston, shutting them down. It was just, I don't want to say it was too surprising, but it was just really remarkable to see. And it makes me want to see more. Like now I'm like, all right, what are they going to do with this Toronto team? It's pretty cool.
Before we move on to Toronto, David, what not just impressed, but really shocked us, and you're talking to a couple of hockey guys, is, man, was the Panthers' forecheck effective. Nobody forechecks the Bruins, even when they're just a good team. Nobody forechecks the Bruins like that. Never mind a historic regular season team. Were you surprised, if not damn near shocked? They seemingly forced like 25 turnovers a game. Their cycle was constantly working. Did that surprise you?
What surprised me was that they were able to be so consistent about it. We really saw it like effective. I don't want to say we didn't see it at all in game one, but we really saw it effective in game two. I think back to the goal Carter Verhaeghe scored when Sam Bennett came flying down the boards, forced the hit, forced the turnover. The puck went to maybe Reinhart and then to Verhaeghe or whoever was on that line that game. And from that point on, I just feel like even in the games they lost at home, they were so aggressive. And it just comes down to working hard. Like, it's not like the Panthers did anything particularly different. They just skated their asses off. They stayed with Boston. Like, as you said, nobody had skated with them like that. It almost reminds you of the 1980 USA hockey team, the way that they were the only team that ever was able to skate with the Russians from the start to finish, and they didn't know what to do because they were just on top of them the whole game. And, obviously it's a bit of a stretch to make that comparison to this. Talking about the biggest upset ever in sports, maybe, to, a first-round hockey series. But just the way that the Panthers moved their feet and their energy level stayed high throughout the entire series. And I think the confidence grew. I think once they saw the success, particularly like when you get to game 5 and then game 6, and then by the time you got to game 7, this was a Panther team that was probably as confident, if not more confident than the Bruins were when the series started. It's because they saw how successful they were going to be against the team that nobody had really been successful against all season.
Paul Maurice able to figure out line combinations, pushing the right buttons, keeping the team motivated at the right level. I mean, I don't think we can talk enough about what he's done in his first year with the Panthers.
And credit to Paul Maurice, as we've spoken to him from start to finish this season. He's been so consistent in his message and in his demeanor about it. He's been very calm, cool, and collected, just talking about the team working away at their systems, learning what he's been trying to teach them. And yeah, I mean, clearly it's paying off to this point. A couple of moves he made late in the series in terms of the lines have paid off. Once Sam Bennett came back healthy and he got that line back together with Bennett, Verhaeghe, and Tkachuk, and they took off. And then he moved Verhaeghe to the top line with Bartov to get Bartov going. Bartov gets healthy. His series picks up. And then putting two of the best friends on the team together with Eetu Luostarinen and Anton Lundell. And they've both been flourishing. They're 21 and 24 years old. So seeing all that kind of come to fruition at the same time that Paul Maurice, what he's been preaching all year, like, if you guys just work my systems and listen to what I'm telling you, it will work out. And gradually, slowly but surely, stubbornly, they got the team to start working at that level that Paul Maurice kept saying all year. And it's really just kind of all fallen into place at the right time, it seems like, for the Panthers in terms of figuring out how to play Paul Maurice's way at just the right time. And yeah, I mean, Bill Zito's been saying it from the beginning. Like, I've spoken to him a few times this year, and he said, nope, Paul Maurice is our guy. He's been very confident and very comfortable with the decision, even when the season wasn't going that well. Clearly, these guys saw what could be, and now we're seeing it.
David Dwork, WPLG, Channel 10 in Miami, the hockey news, and Chirping the Cats is the podcast talking Florida Panthers. You can follow David on Twitter, David Dwork, DWORK. All right, we're getting a little nitty-gritty here. You mentioned Barkov. He's a guy who I thought in the second half of the series, for the first time really, showed up big in the playoffs, played to his size, played to his skill level, and obviously they need that. Is he the guy that you look at and you go, hey, Austin Matthews, he's yours. Good luck. Because really, size and speed, skill-wise, I mean, he's the comparison on the Panthers. I mean, he's a poor man's Austin Matthews, but he's Austin Matthews.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see them match up Barkov with Matthews' line. I mean, it's really, you've got options, because even if it's not the Barkov line, the Sam Bennett line is going to throw heavy weight at you. They're going to push you around a bit. The Anton Lundell line, if that line ends up getting matched up against Austin Matthews, Lundell and Luostarinen are two of the better defending forwards the Panthers have. So they're pretty well equipped to face like a team like Toronto, just the way that they were okay to face against Boston. But in terms of Barkov, I mean, you talk about the progression of his series. I mean, they came out and they said, look, Barkov was really sick when the series started, and he started gradually getting better, started really getting his feet under him for the 2 home games. But we didn't see Barkov really look like Sasha Barkov. until that 5th game in Boston, where you saw him not only looking like himself in the offensive zone, hustling back in the D, but it was the physicality that maybe we're not used to or don't appreciate from Barkov the way we did in that Boston series. But once he started throwing his body around, the offense is always there. The moves are always there. But I think he's taking, because Barkov knows, like, he gets asked all the questions. He's just a super nice guy, but he understands if he's struggling, if he's not producing, he's the captain. He's the guy that everybody's looking to. And I think after a few years of playoff, I don't want to say failure, because of what the Panthers hadn't accomplished at all until the last few years, just making it and getting past the first round was an accomplishment. But I think, these guys all want more than that. And Barkov especially, he's been here the longest, save Aaron Ekblad.
Oh, there's no
So
doubt.
he gets to this point now. You think that Barkov's ready to really reach that next level. And, he's never going to be the guy that's going to come out and talk a lot of smack. He's not that Matthew Tkachuk kind of guy, but he's hungry to win. He wants to lead by example. And if we see the Barkov we saw at the end of that series, and there's no reason to think that we won't, unless he gets sick again, which, hopefully that does not happen. But I think we could see Barkov kind of reach another level here in this Toronto series, just because he's looks to be feeling really good right now. The team looks to be feeling really good right now. And it's his wheelhouse. Like, they know this team. So yes, I think we could see something special from Barkov moving forward here.
What's the part of Toronto that scares you the most, David? I mean, they're such a skilled team. They're so fast. To me, they've got to have the same type of gap control they had against the Bruins and be able to hold them at the blue line a little bit, because if you let them enter the zone with speed, boy, oh boy, are you in trouble.
Yeah, 100%. Gap control is going to be huge against Toronto, just as it was against Boston.
Yep.
Because Toronto, maybe more so than Boston, is a bit more of a rush team, and they're going to try to generate that speed a bit more than Boston did, where Boston was just content to get the puck in deep and go to work. Toronto's a bit more of a finesse team. They've also got a pretty good power play, not as good as Boston, but certainly special teams will come into play in this series. But I mean, really, it's a similar matchup to Boston. They're not as maybe disciplined, not quite as heavy as Boston was. Boston better on special teams. I mean, when you look at it, what I did kind of in the last couple of days was kind of look at the matchup, compare the teams. And while Toronto is great, you don't want to take anything away from Toronto. It's just when you're coming off facing a team like Boston, you're going to be confident. And the Panthers' biggest win of the season, you might argue, their 2 biggest wins of the season. One of them was a comeback win against Boston in February before the All-Star break. And the other one was a comeback win in Toronto at the end of March when they had lost 4 in a row. Then they won that game in Toronto after Paul Maurice he blew a gasket on the bench. And they really ran off with the season after that. It should be a great series. Toronto, I don't think has the same kind of goaltending that Boston had. And there's more holes there for the Panthers to exploit. If they continue on the path that they started on against the Bruins, then there's no reason the Panthers can't advance past Toronto also.
Well, let's hope that the Panthers goaltending holds up as well. I think both teams and their fan bases kind of look at their goaltending and go, A games are good, but we can go to C+ pretty quickly. So hopefully Bob continues to play the way he did, particularly in games 5 and 7. David, as always, appreciate it. Safe travels. And who knows, maybe, just maybe, conference finals for the first time in 27 years. Maybe.
Gentlemen, let's do it again in 7 to 10 days.
David Dwork. He covers the Florida Panthers, Channel 10 in Miami. The hockey news, Chirping the Cats is the podcast, Chirping the Cats. Listen, 5 of the 6 games, Tampa Bay had the edge in play against Toronto, but they didn't finish. They did. At the end of the day, the irony, the Stamkoses, the Kucherovs of the world, Braden Point, their goal scorers didn't finish. And Toronto's goal scorers for the first time in the spring in a while finished. And that's why Toronto won the close games and got through. Mark, Florida's goal scorers are finishing. I mean, if they look at the tape of the Tampa Bay-Toronto series, they go, well, hell, they skated with them. In fact, you could argue they outskated them.
You could definitely argue they outskated them. You're right. The overtime games, they didn't get a break in overtime. I do think we said it for the Boston series. 5-on-5 hockey is going to be Florida's advantage.
Yes.
I don't think you want to
spend
a lot of time shorthanded against the Toronto Maple Leafs. I don't think you want to trade power plays with the Leafs.
No. And it would be nice if the officiating doesn't help the Leafs out the way they helped the Bruins out in Game 7. It was as if the officials got the memo and say, Boston's down 2-0. They could, what would really help? Some power plays. Maybe we could give them a couple.
I'll be honest, I thought the Rangers got the calls early in the game last night as well.
Well, we knew it was going to happen. I mean, we said it.
I know, and then they did.
And they didn't score. Absolutely. I mean, the Rangers got 3 power plays in the first period. Hell, they're on the power play mid-second when they give up the shorty. I mean, what more are the Rangers looking for? They're getting outplayed and they're on the power play 4 times in the first 28 minutes of the game. Come on now. Get your together. Score a goal. But Toronto will score some goals on the power play. Florida's going to be physical, yet they got to stop right on the edge. Do not go over it. Because Edmonton and Toronto on the power play, it's over.
Yeah, they're assassinating teams on the power play right now. So we'll see. But that gets going tonight, the Panthers and the Leafs.
Do you think, by the way, before the game tonight, moment of silence for Gordon Lightfoot?
Ooh, the Canadian Troubadour. I was bummed out when I saw that this morning.
I know.
Edmund Fitzgerald's like one of 7 songs I can play on the guitar. I may go home and rock it out.
I'm being serious when I say this. I know it'll be massive celebration. First time the Leafs have hosted a game in the second round in 19 years, but I am being very serious. Do you think there will be a moment of silence for Gordon Lightfoot tonight before they do the anthems and get everybody all riled up?
I had not thought of it until you brought it up. It would be very Canadian, David.
Yes. Yes, it would.
They're very nice. Leaving the whole doors unlocked and everything. Yeah.
Right. And it got how many people out in the plaza there? All right. Be a cool looking moment of silence. Get that many people to be quiet.
Especially when all the people in the plaza have no idea who he is.
Come on. They've been listening to his music, all day today. Who's that mommy? Who is that?
And now I'm just got the songs going in my head right now, and I'm trying desperately not to harm our audience by letting any of them come out.
One Canadian after another was getting on Twitter last night. Brian Adams took to Twitter. I mean, musicians to just, regular Canadian citizens talking about what Gordon Lightfoot meant to them. My money, just like David Samson said, it's 4-1 every show, whether or not he says the word took us. 4-1. I got my money on the Leafs with a moment of silence for Gordon Lightfoot.
And I don't think I could take the other side of the bet. I really don't. At 4-1, I don't like my odds.
Miller and Moulton. Pat Kirwan to join us coming up. Recap the draft and kind of assess where everybody is. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for being with us here on the Florida Sports Network.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Good morning, boys.
Morning, Pat.
Morning.
All right, you got some breakup in sound. I don't know if it's coming across that way on the radio. That last guest you have, I was listening. It was brutally hard it kept cracking and breaking up. We always hang up on those guys and reset, but
never did it in our headsets though. That's the funny thing, Pat.
Yeah,
Also,
I did it in mine.
Anybody else?
Well, you two, after he left, it happened to you guys a couple times, at least through my headset. So I don't know if that's going out or not.
Well, we're asking everybody else if they're hearing it too.
And I'm getting nothing. I got nothing on the text line. Usually when we have bad, I get inundated with people telling us.
Yep. I figured you didn't because he just kept going, and I couldn't understand almost anything he said. But it's no big deal. Just real good if it's not going out that way.
So you got more playoff hockey in your future?
Oh yeah, I watched the game last night. It was great. Fun.
You mean the Rangers and the Devils?
Of course. Well, how'd Boomer do?
Oh no, Rangers lost. They're done.
Yeah. Sorry, Boom. Back to the vodka and tequila without the team. Got to drink solo. I was texting you, Mark. Boston. What were you doing? I don't get those guys. Yeah, another series next week. Perfect for me. No draft in the way.
They'll start on the road.
So. Yeah. They get the winner of tonight's game is who they're going to. Yeah, but that makes next week the home games.
Correct.
Things work out usually that way.
Right.
And this will be over tonight.
Or tomorrow. Jacksonville has 2 shots to beat Gwinnett tonight and tomorrow.
I think, unless I'm wrong here, I think the Blades can beat either one of those guys.
Well, I'm just thinking, there's a potential Jacksonville Everblade series here. I think you and I should do some traveling.
Feel free to join me. I'll drive back with you. Oh, Lord. It's just fun when football's over that I have something else to do that has nothing to do with football. How about, I had a nice long talk yesterday with Brandon Bean as well as one of my guys in Detroit. And the 5th-year option, I think we're going to have half of them not get it. It's almost like, you want to negotiate that out of the next CBA? Feel free.
Well, we mentioned it an hour ago. Yesterday. So Denver says yes to Judy. Seattle, Baltimore, and Arizona all say no to a linebacker. Brooks, Queen, and
Offensive
Simmons.
tackles, yeah. Offensive tackles and wide receivers turn into the safe bet. Plus, you got to think with 32 guys, and this is like, oh, the draft. We got to get into the first round. I keep saying people don't do that anymore. They stopped doing that a couple of years ago. Get into the bottom of the first round so you get the fifth-year option. Check how many fifth-year options are going to players from pick 25 to 32.
Yeah,
Nope.
no.
10 seconds.
I mean, we documented it a couple years ago that basically the number's like 18 options that are getting picked up.
Yeah. Left this way. There's be a lot of some sorrows.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It's been a fast-moving Tuesday, May 2nd edition of Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. A happy 9th birthday to Mark's daughter. Way to go, Maddie, who apparently is getting a birthday dinner after having a birthday party.
It's the way we roll.
We know who the queen is. That is for sure. Pat Kirwan joins us at this day and time every week. He of NFL Radio's Moving the Chains last week doing the draft in Kansas City as well. He'll be doing the Super Bowl with CBS and the NFL Today show this coming season. Pat joins us courtesy of Pinchers, Tampa to Key West, all points in between. Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh. So have you recovered from Kansas City? That looked like a party.
Yeah, it felt like Woodstock with everyone on the side of that hill. I was waiting for the rain to come, and it didn't. Apparently, the good Lord doesn't want to miss the view of the draft itself. So much going on, calling out names. I mean, is that big-time excitement or what? It was like root canal.
Pat, it sounds like you wouldn't attend this, but you're grateful for the 300,000 that do.
Well, I've interviewed a lot of them. I just walk up to them in the street and ask them why you're here. And I love usually I get the same reaction. Like they stare at me like, is this a joke question? It's obvious why I'm here. My team's drafting. I said, you have a Kansas City Chiefs shirt on. They're not drafting till the last pick in the first round. You're here 4 hours before the start of the draft. What's the motivation? But we do months and months of hype, and they like it. And it trumps a lot of sports. I mean, real sports get trumped by this event, which Roger Goodell said to me on Thursday afternoon. He said, I never thought this was going to happen. I thought it was fun to send around. He goes, I never thought it was going to turn into this. And now it's a monster. And the bands are playing all the time. So the people are having a great time. I get it. Next year, Detroit. All I say, and I say it on your show every year, and last thing I'll say about the draft, and I said it to Roger, never put it in a position where at least 7 fan bases can't drive to it. That's the most important. These are the people that can't afford to buy tickets, a lot of them, and they can drive to this event and feel inside the NFL for 3 days. But you got to make it drivable for multiple fan bases.
And you get that in Detroit. You get a lot of teams right there. Chicago, Indianapolis, Cincinnati, Cleveland, even Pittsburgh, not that far away to make that trek for the draft. So that you are on to something with that, Pat. As you look back on it, how do you evaluate the draft? Do you just watch it unfold and try to make quick evaluations, or is this one that you're wanting to now look at the 2020 draft and go, let's see who won?
Yeah, I think it's ridiculous to put grades. And I worked for a network that wanted grades, so I gave everyone a B, and I went home in 30 seconds.
And you wonder why it is we like you so much, because there's no doubt that we would do something like that too. Oh, really? You want a grade? Fine. They all get an A.
Everybody, all the other guys that were working for that network sat down and they really started thinking. I go, come on, fellas. I just took out a piece of paper, wrote B, 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 B. I'll see I'm catching the early flight. I'm not. And so I don't respect them, but I will say the teams that appeared to me like they were in a good place because the draft was working out for them. That's the most important thing. When you're going is someone you really like that's really good in line for you. So Philadelphia, of course. Detroit, I thought Detroit. I love when people are programmed to hate running back picks. So then they rip them. You know how I felt about Campbell? And David, you felt pretty good about him. Pittsburgh, I thought Omar did a very good job because the draft kind of worked out for him. He moved a little bit. Little chip shots are good. And I thought the Giants did a pretty nice job. So does it mean they're going to be good players? No, I don't think so. I think they got to go out and prove that. But those teams, I kind of like the way the draft fell for them.
The Lions draft was interesting, though. We could debate whether or not that they took guys a little too soon. Also, did they have to take the running back first? Could they have maybe, I don't know, taken the running back third and traded back into the first round and had 3 first-round picks? And it just seemed, though, Pat, as if, first off, Detroit, they're their own thinkers. They ain't following anybody else. It's like they ain't reading anything. We don't care. This is our board. This is what we're thinking. And at the end of the day, we're either going to succeed or we're going to get fired, but we're doing it our way.
Well, they clearly have a head coach. You just described the head coach, right? A different guy. And because of him and the way he thinks and the way he looks at talent, you got to pass his face-to-face test. And if you can't pass his face-to-face test, he's not going to let you in his locker room. So that's how they work. And they understand who their boss is. And they understand who he wants to coach. And he's been right so far. You talk about a guy who changed the culture in Mark's town overnight. No one else could do it in decades. And he did it because he got rid of those who don't see it the way he sees it.
How hard is that to do, Pat? Because it is the one thing. Well, we've got to change the culture. I mean, you hear it 6 million times from college coaches to pro coaches in every damn sport. Not many teams can do what Dan Campbell's done. How did he pull it off?
Well, let's use this draft as an example of him. First off, he takes the second running back high in the draft. Why? Because he was done with the other running back, Swifty. I interview this guy almost every week. He was lukewarm on him all the time, whether he didn't feel like he was going to be a Lion the right way or not. And he liked him, but he never loved him. So he was going to replace, and that's an unpopular replacement. So he's going to do that. The next thing is Campbell. Campbell's him. Very smart, very athletic, big. And all he saw, I guarantee, was himself in the linebacker. And then you go to Laporta. Why do you take Laporta? Didn't he take Laporta before the Notre Dame tight end?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he went up to Iowa, and he got the same speech I got from Kirk Ferentz about ignore how bad we were in offense, and he only had 2 touchdowns. Here's the things he can do.
Pat, did you find it interesting? I mean, Detroit, who desperately needed help on defense, 2 of their first 3 picks were offensive players, skilled players. And they didn't have trouble the second half of the season scoring points. We didn't know if they really needed offensive skill help. But they got 2 guys that most people feel, wow, they're really good players. Buffalo, I would argue they need more help on defense than they on offense. What do? They trade up slightly to get who they felt was the best tight end in the draft. It seemed as if teams, if they made a calculated choice, chose offense over defense.
I thought it was a pretty strong offensive draft, the starters. When you look at the offensive tackles, the quarterbacks are always going to go. I kind of knew where Kentucky was going to go. It might have worked out that way. And as I think about it, it probably did. But people, okay, here's what Brandon Beane said to me yesterday. I asked him the question that had nothing to do with this statement, but it turned into the answer did. I said, how come no real veteran trading during the draft? We thought there was about 10 names on a hot list that would go. And he goes, well, and then he said, maybe we're a good example, Latavius Murray. He goes, there's too many guys in free agency still left. Remember all those 1-year contracts? He goes, now I can get those guys for a minimum wage and no draft compensation and no arguing, because whether they like to admit it or not, when you use a trade chart to start having a negotiation, you really can't quantify those players. They don't fit in that system. So I think a lot of guys just said, look, there's a big fat pool of guys still left in free agency. if I need a guy, and look how many guys got signed. Willie Snead gets signed right away. McKinnon came right back. Latavius Murray. And there's going to be a lot more. As Bean said to me today, he goes, by Friday, you'll see about 8 more guys coming off the free agent list. And everybody set those guys up so they don't have to go pay. Who are the guys on the hot list to be traded during the draft? Big, fat contract guys almost all the time. So that's why I think you didn't see a lot of that stuff. Kind of interesting to me. We saw a lot of draft picks traded, right? How many was it? Over 40 trades of picks. Those are easy to do.
All right, talk about the Bucs draft. I think if I remember right on Friday, you like the D tackle they picked, but the rest of their draft, what do you think about what the Bucs did?
Well, what are the Bucs? That's the problem with that place. You know, are they in a rebuild? Raise your hand if you think they're in a rebuild. Me too, all three of us. And what does that say? That says that you got to be looking at the draft differently. I think you're not plugging in that final piece to get over the top. You're really looking for mass numbers in an overhaul. And you got a defensive-minded head coach, and he's looking for his guys that are interesting to him. And so sometimes some of the names are not particularly exciting, but that's how Todd is.
Do you think Mock, the second-round pick from North Dakota State, do you think he can play right tackle, or do you think he's a guard?
I think he can play all 5 spots. And Paul Alexander, who works with him, said he's the only guy in the draft that can play all 5 spots. And he will succeed at any one of the 5 they decide to put him at. And so I like that guy a lot for the versatility. I like him for his toughness. I don't think right tackle is a problem at all. And, you know, people look at him like, oh, he's got a guard's body. He's 6'6". I've spent much time with him. He can handle anything in the top 5. He could be the center. He could be the left tackle. So good for him, and he's tough.
All right, but I'm surprised. I mean, isn't he below that length of arm that Paul Alexander says can't play tackle? I mean, don't you have to have 33-inch arms to play tackle in this league, Pat?
Skoronski doesn't, and he can play tackle.
I'm just going by what you guys tell me. No, I don't know this. I'm just surprised because I thought Paul was one of those guys that kind of had his line in the sand with that stuff, so I was surprised to hear that.
I'll send you the tape of Paul's description of him. You'll enjoy listening to why he can play all 5 spots.
Love it.
Maybe his arms get longer at tackle. I don't know.
You mentioned the Steelers. I will say this. I like the new GM's been willing to be a little more aggressive. Pittsburgh usually, you know, they sit tight and they just, you know, they draft a lot of good players, but they sit tight doing it. He's given up some draft picks to bring in some veterans. He gave up a pick to move ahead of the Jets and to get the 4th tackle. I like what, you know, young GM, first time doing this. I like what Omar's done. We got about 30 seconds.
I like Omar a lot. And Omar has a relationship with a lot of people around the league. And he's an easy guy to talk to. And I think while he was in waiting, he's developed some nice relationships with guys, and he can pick up the phone and get into conversation. Jumping over the Jets was one of the best moves of the draft.
He's Pat Kirwan. NFL Radio's moving the chain. CBS Sports, the NFL Today Show, and Pat comes to us twice a week, courtesy of Pinchers, with locations from Tampa to Key West. Pinchers, because you cannot fake fresh. More with Pat Kirwan coming up on the other side. You want to text Pat a question, 21,000th line. We'll see if we can sneak it in right here. Pat Kirwan, more to come on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So the streaming decent for those Everblades games? Can you follow the puck?
It's tremendous quality.
Is it?
Yeah, I just hook it up to my TV.
Right.
And it's very good. You know, I watch a lot of the kids hockey on Live Barn, and that's gotten better. Not as good as Flow TV. Flow TV is pretty darn good.
I think a lot of it just depends on what they're using inside the arena too. How many cameras do they have?
Yep. It's more than satisfactory. I just night after dinner, like last night, I had some work to do, just things to wrap up for the show tomorrow and all that stuff. But I just had the game on in front of me, and then it got my attention pretty quickly.
What time did you get there Saturday?
Third period. But my boy Steve was up there out of his mind. He loves watching goalies. The darn goalie for the Everblades is a pretty good player.
Johnson. It's not the same veteran as last year, is it?
Yeah, Johnson.
Was it Johnson? Cam Johnson, is it?
Yes. And on Saturday night, they shut him out. He had 2 shutouts in the series. The first game and Saturday. You know, I don't know enough about hockey. I enjoy it. Well, first off, I like watching that guy. He's pretty nasty too. He'd give a shot to a guy skating by him.
Yeah, he's a goalie with a personality. He plays to the crowd. Yeah.
The poor goalie for South Carolina, he comes way out. He can't recover. I don't know why he comes out that far. I think he's nervous. Omar's talking to me here. I'm going to see Omar this weekend, so it'll be fun talking to him. Omar did a good job. You know, he's got a little bit of a wrestling match with Mike. I think Mike kind of felt like when Kevin left, I'm going to get more power here. And I told Omar, I said, get ready. Head coaches like this who've been listening to their counterpart, Kevin, they're going to try to push this draft a little bit harder from their perspective. He said, we've already had that talk. I said, you haven't had the drill. The drill is when it's live. Mike's figured it out, though.
It's funny. I like. Yeah.
No. One of those things I want to jump on, we come back if you don't mind, is the tight end thing that's going on, and how many people are going to 12 personnel, and a lot of guys told me that they're heading towards it, and then you get 15 of them drafted, and another 5 signed in college free agency. Even my friend Brandon Bean was talking about yesterday.
By the way, I'm not as high on the Bears draft as everybody is. I love their first pick, but the next 2 guys they took are much better athletes than they are players. I mean, they could be home run picks, and they could be C- picks too.
Yeah. So you just froze right there when you were talking, David.
That's weird. It's only happening to you, Pat.
My end, isn't it?
I think it's your end.
I
Okay,
think it's
well, that's
your
fine
end.
then. Yep. It's okay then. Thank goodness. Ba-dum-bum-bum-bum. How about Gutenkoost? This is the quote of yesterday. Man, that's a lot of money for a guy who hasn't played. Option. No, you didn't know that? Jordan loves option year? Duh. I will say this about Rodgers, Mark. He's playing it right in New York. He is doing all the right things right now, going to Ranger games and Knick games, hanging with his teammates, practicing.
Boy, they couldn't get that video
It
out.
just tells you how much
quickly
he
enough
hates
to practice.
Green Bay. Yeah, well, the more he does, the more I realize how much he hated Green Bay.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Our remaining moments with Pat Kirwan. He of NFL Radio's Moving the Chains, which is weekdays 3 to 7. He's also part of CBS's NFL Today show, CBS with the Super Bowl this upcoming season. Pat joining us courtesy of Pinchers, Tampa to Key West, a dozen locations in between Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh. News this morning, today's the last day for teams to pick up the fifth-year option on guys that were drafted in 2020. The Giants, they had indicated they were going to do this. They picked up left tackle Andrew Thomas's fifth-year option. He will make a little over $14 million next season. It looks as if, by the way, it's going to be close to 50-50 in terms of the number of players who have their fifth-year options picked up. Pat, you were talking about something during the break, and I wanted to, not just have our Twitch audience hear it. Is that a lot of tight ends taken? You had said going into the draft, this was a really good draft for tight ends. Heard you and Jim talking on your show yesterday. You think there's more to it than that, though?
Absolutely. So we call 12 personnel, 1 running back, 2 tight ends, moved into the second spot as the most frequently used personnel group. But they haven't really grown much. 2020, 20% of the plays. 2021, 21% of the plays. 2022, 22% of the plays. But now you draft 15 tight ends. Use Buffalo as an example. They already had a good tight end. And they signed 5. So 20 tight ends are being injected into the NFL off this draft. And the indications I'm getting from coaches is that everyone's moving towards more 12 personnel, which I think you guys like. I like it a lot because if one of the tight ends is a flex tight end, the defense doesn't know what personnel to put on the field. If you send 3 wideouts, they all know what to do. Send nickelback out there. But you put 2 tight ends out and they have any kind of shift flexibility, you're struggling on defense to figure out what to do. So get ready for this personnel group to grow a lot in the NFL. And I think a lot of teams are going to move towards 30% of their plays, maybe 35% of their plays. And in some teams, maybe 40%. So that's a phenomenon that this draft just backed up.
Got a question not only in our Twitch chat room, but it was texted to us. Why did the Bears take Wright over Skronsky?
Talking to Jim Nagy yesterday, that Wright had a terrific Senior Bowl week. Came with questions. He was viewed as a late second, early third round pick. Goes down there and could play either side. Has the physical traits of a left tackle. And a demeanor that was pretty physical. And I think that's how he advanced. And Jim Nagy felt the same way. That's how he got ahead of people.
I'm going to be a jerk, and I'm going to say that a lot of teams watched the Tennessee-Alabama tape, and they watched him block Will Anderson one-on-one all day, and Anderson was practically invisible on the stat sheet. And Will Anderson, when drafted 3rd, was asked point blank, who was the best player you played against in college? And the questioner could barely get the question out. And he said, Darnell Wright, Tennessee.
Well, there's your answer. 21,000's the text line. Pat, your thoughts? The Dolphins didn't have a lot of picks. We thought they did well with what they picked, though.
Yeah, I think it's hard to move around. You don't have any firepower. And if you've already made a complete disciplined philosophical statement of we're not giving away next year's picks to move up. A lot of teams that get starved with no picks start throwing next year's around, so they create the vicious cycle. They weren't going to do that. There are two teams that college free agents should run to, and there were a lot of good college free agents. Miami's one of them, and the Rams. They signed 24 guys after the draft. Well, it's all coming back to haunt them. Miami's fine. They got a good team. How many rookies are going to break into the starting lineup in Miami? None, in my opinion. Maybe one by default, but that's about it. Cam Smith, I think basically they have their team and they're set to go, and hopefully they get back into the draft business next year. But not bad for what they had. And two of those picks were so late, it's ridiculous.
Don't you find just the approach that organizations take, as a guy who was in organizations for 30 years, fascinating? The Patriots, who I think we could all make the case, that roster needs some work. 2 undrafted free agents they've signed. The Seahawks, who have really turned that roster over in the last 18 months, it's looking pretty good. Signed 29 undrafted free agents. It's fascinating how legendary coaches and GMs who both have won championships, how differently they can do things in the same league.
It is amazing. There's a lot of ways to skin a cat, and I've worked for both of those guys.
Right.
And in a lot of ways, they're different, but in a lot of ways, they have a lot in common because they know how to communicate to players. And people think that Belichick can't, but he can. And people think Pete's soft, but he's not. So when I was with both of these guys, I realized all the common traits they have. When you look at things like that and how many players, Pete's always fascinated by looking at guys. And he doesn't mind cutting guys in the mini camps. Nope, thought I like him, don't like him. Boom, he might be out in 2 weeks. That's how he goes. Think about what he did when he didn't have a quarterback. He just kept signing him and drafting him until he had one. He didn't care. Every week he was training another guy in there until he had one. Meanwhile, Belichick is more patient. He's going to work with guys. He sees the development down the road. So different ways and two interesting guys.
I know.
I'll tell you one thing.
Go ahead. I think we may have lost Pat there. We've had Pat's little audio problems.
It's in and out, and it's my fault. It's something at my end. I don't know what it is.
That's fine. You were saying, I'll tell you one thing.
Done, because I can't hear you. I'm breaking down here for reasons unknown to me.
All right, Pat. Pat, good luck. Thanks for your time. Pat Kirwan, NFL Radio's Moving the Chains, CBS's NFL Today Show. Having some technical difficulties.
Which we haven't had with Pat in quite a long time.
I know. And since, we do this Twitch thing on the Miller and Moulton Twitch.tv channel, you remember the old station, they, technical difficulties, and they'd put the slate up? Maybe we need to come up with a slate, a technical difficulty slate.
But I thought it was interesting that you mentioned New England only signing 2 free agents. They also drafted a kicker and a punter.
And I love that. Everybody's against spending a draft choice on a kicker and a punter.
No team has ever done it. No team has ever picked both a kicker and a punter. I mean, I think, or hasn't happened since the Raiders did it when they drafted Janikowski all those years ago. They drafted a punter later in the draft. So it's been quite a while since the teams used 2 picks in the same draft for a kicker and a punter. It's just unusual. That's all.
Right. But the Raiders draft, and you could debate where it is they picked those guys. They took Janikowski in the first round. They took Shane Leckler in the 4th round. You want to take a look at the careers those 2 guys had? And if we had said to you, hey, this first round pick's going to kick or play 19 years, and this 4th round pick's going to play like 13 years, you'd go, wow, those are a hell of a pick. I mean, they are 2 of the 24 starters, right? I mean, you can spend a 4th or 5th round pick on kickers and punters, and people go, oh, that's a wasted pick. Seriously? You get 8 years out of a kicker?
On the punter, I think it is these days. We don't punt. They don't even want him in the league anymore, for crying out loud. You're drafting a guy. You want to say he's a starter. He's not a starter. I would debate that with you all day long.
Well, I would say with the Patriots offense, he's a starter. Hello.
Hey, now. Well, that's what I was going to say. It's not like Belichick's getting fired, so I'm not even implying that. But it's like when he says he's going to be patient, how patient can you be? He's not young.
Could make the argument they're not competing this year, though. I mean, you and I are not into, rankings and polls, but if we were to sit down and rank the 16 AFC teams right now, you putting the Patriots in the top 10?
No.
Anybody? They did win 8 games last year. They won 10 the year before. I mean, they have not been awful.
No, but has their roster been getting better?
Well, we don't think so. They've won 7, 10, and 8 games without Brady. Made the playoffs once, yet to win a playoff game since Tom left. They're right in no man's land. Worst place to be. But, Mark, if we were doing an AFC power poll, they'd be in the bottom 5. Miller and Moulton.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of Miller and Moulton Morning Show, and with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686. Or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Well, Rhino, considering I hardly ever was in Naples, even when I lived in Southwest Florida for 23 years, but don't bum. You know what I miss most? I'm a very social person. I just, like having a beer with someone. I just, I don't know anybody in Jacksonville. I mean, I know JP Shadrick. Okay, so it's a little lonely. I will definitely say that. but it was something that I had to do for family. Had to. Had no option. This wasn't a decision, oh, I wait. No, I had to move. So,
That was funny, Canada Relief.
Not to get too deep though, but I was not super happy in Southwest Florida at the end. I mean, I had been fired by both newspapers, both companies that do sports radio. FGCU had 20 years to hire me. They never did. Kept being told how good I was, and yet kept being shitted on. So,
other than that,
right. I mean, when I left, I remember somebody going, "Why'd you leave?" And it was kind of like, well, how much more rejection do I need to get? Well, Guillermo, I would argue, it's happy wife. It doesn't necessarily mean that I have a happy life, but my wife is much happier. Much. Right, Logic Man. That's funny. Touche, Logic Man. Touche. But I do miss, I'd love to go have a beer with Mark. To go to lunch after a show. Got a few other people that, I'd love to be able to just be more social than I am. That's what I miss. Yeah, Canada Relief. I hardly ever drink anymore, be honest. Like I had a beer last night. I went out to meet someone, had the games on. I had one beer.
Why, thank you. Now I just wish you owned a multi-million-dollar company and wanted to sponsor us.
Yeah, really.
I mean, we love all our listeners. We just one of you owned a big company and said, you know what, we're gonna front this for a while. A little company.
Here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the top of the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Our last segment along the network in Lake City and surrounding areas, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte to Venice. The bonus hour awaits at the top of the hour for our longtime audience in the 239. So, game 2, Knicks Heat tonight. Knicks a bigger favorite in game 2 than they were in game 1. Saw how well that worked out for them. Jimmy Buckets, game time decision. That sprained ankle with 5 minutes to go. Game 3 is not until Saturday. Mark, Felipe, I ask you both, if you're the Heat, does that fact, 4 days off between tonight and game 3, does that, if you're Riley and Spoelstra and Butler, influence your thought process at all as to whether or not Jimmy plays tonight?
It can't to me. The foot's got to be on the gas fully. I'm not sitting someone and just sacrificing a game in a series, because I think we all believe that there's no real way for Miami to win this game without Jimmy Butler playing, even if he's only giving you 70%. I've got to continue to act like this game's as important as game 1. I can't let my team's confidence down. I I have to play as if we're going to give our team the best chance to win. And 70% Jimmy Butler is better than 0 Jimmy Butler.
I agree with Mark on this one because that's not really the Heat's mentality. I mean, you go back to game 5 of their first round series against Milwaukee. I mean, we were all saying there's no way that Milwaukee doesn't lose at home. They're going to defend their home court, and it's going to go back to Miami, which the Heat will have an opportunity. Well, no. Jimmy Butler's mindset is to go to Milwaukee and end this.
But that was a healthy Jimmy Butler. You got to give me that. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
This is the first time Jimmy is now injured. And if he's a game time decision, he's injured. And I'm just wondering, listen, this playoffs is dominated by injuries and guys sitting out and when they come back. I mean, Sixers went to Boston without Embiid and won. I mean, I know we don't think the Heat can play without Jimmy and win, but the Clippers won a game against the Phoenix without Paul George. I mean, the playoffs have been nuts.
They have, but there's also no Tyler Hero as well.
Yep.
And I don't know. I simply don't know how the Heat can score without the two of them.
I mean, even a little bit of Jimmy Butler is still Jimmy Butler.
How about this? It's the three of us making the decision. I'm outvoted, but I say, hey, now, if he looks as if he's struggling, I may make a decision at some point to just get him out.
And if what you talked about earlier, David, what were the numbers that the Knicks shot from beyond the arc? 7 of
34, which is 21%.
Let's say they turn that around. They shoot 40%. They have a good offensive game. But then at the same time, unless he's really struggling, I can't take him out because we've watched the Heat come back in the fourth quarter. We've watched the Heat come back in the second half. They have been such a great team and coming from behind in the playoffs so far that a lot of normal logic has to be thrown away.
So basically, when Butler looks at Spo and says, I'm playing, you guys are just treating it as if he didn't roll his ankle.
Give him a pat on the back and say, go out there and get him, Jimmy.
Okay, fair enough.
I'd honestly let him decide. Jimmy, you want to play, yes or no?
Well, it's not does he want to play. It's can he play?
Can he play?
And sometimes you do have to protect the athlete from himself. I mean, Randall wanted to play for the Knicks. Randall practiced on Friday. I mean, he was there. He was practicing. He was not 100%. The Knicks held him out. Game 1, they're like, Julius, you've had an ankle injury for over a month now. It's not getting better. You've already re-injured it. This is a long series. Now, I think that, they thought they could at least get 1 of 2 at home without him. The expectation is Randall's going to try to give it a go tonight.
And that's the hard part because it's not like Butler, someone that just stands in the corner and pops threes. Jimmy's game is to drive, is to get into traffic, to get himself, to use his body and his athleticism to score baskets. So with the ankle, I don't know how effective he can be. So I am with you, David. I'm watching to see how if I'm putting him in, I'm watching to see how it's going because the big layoff between game 2 and game 3 could be big for the Heat.
Felipe, I know how much you're into hoops and you know it and you understand it. It looked to me in game 1 that the Heat said to the Knicks, we're going to take away your drives. We're going to make you beat us from beyond the arc. And the Knicks went 7 for 34. My thing is, if the Knicks start to hit their threes, do the Heat just say, well, that's basically how we're going to defend you. And if you hit them, we're going to lose. And if you miss them, we're going to win. Because if they start defending the arc, the Knicks are going to drive by most everybody on the court to the basket.
Well, it all comes down to, like you said, whether or not they make their threes, because the Knicks actually are a good shooting team. They do have shooters, but
they're not a great three-point shooting team, though. They're very streaky. Josh Hart's not necessarily a great three-point shooter. And if Brunson is going to be 0 for the night, which he was in game 1, I think the Heat defend him the same way and say to the Knicks, so let's see if you can make them, or whether or not it starts to get in your head.
Right, but if Randall comes back, with him, he's either Chris Bosh one night or just the opposite another night.
No doubt about it. With the Garden crowd chanting for Obi Toppin every single chance they can. It's amazing. A guy is going to finish second or third all NBA for the second time in 3 years, and the Knicks crowd can't wait to replace him with the backup. Julius Randle in 21 and 23 has made second or third team all NBA. And for what they're paying guys, he's only making $24 million a year. That's a steal by NBA standards. And the New York crowd, which knows their basketball and loves their Knicks, can't stand the guy. So, game 2 tonight. Game 3 will be Saturday in Miami. Mark, do the Panthers just get off the bus, so to speak, and they're like, okay, let's go, and they just play the same game? We're on this roll. We play every other day. Now we're in Toronto. Let's go. You figure one of these first 2 in Toronto, they're going to play really well, and one, they're just not going to have it. Which is it tonight? Gas tank full, running on adrenaline, gas tank empty. We're still playing the Boston series.
Mentally, I don't know how the gas tank can be full. I at best, it's a half a tank. And to me, they've got to get through. And I said this earlier, I just look at the first 10 minutes of being critical because I think the Leafs are going to be flying around that crowd. How do you take the crowd out of it? You get the puck out of the zone quickly. You control the blue line, and you get your forecheck going again. And hitting is the best way to get your team into a game. Couple of hits wakes everybody up. So I expect the Panthers try to get the puck deep, get that forecheck going in this game, and see what they can do. But to me, they just don't take a stupid penalty in the first 5 minutes in the game.
During the regular season, obviously the Leafs were so much better. I mean, what was it? 20 points better, like 111 to 92, something like that. Okay. But, we just got done watching that Lightning Leaf series. Tampa Bay played the series along the boards, and they were better than Toronto, but Toronto was better in the middle of the ice. They were better in goal, which shocked all of us, and they were better in the slot. But Tampa Bay was better along and near the boards, and that's where they kept the puck for most of the series, and they kept Toronto really in check, and yet still lost. If you're Florida, Mark, don't you watch the tape of that series and go, well, hell, if they could play along the boards, that's even more our game than it is their game. Can't we just do the same thing that Tampa Bay did, only our guys are scoring? Barkov, Verhaeghe, Kachuk, Bennett, our guy, hell, our defensemen. I mean, Montour's got 5 goals in the playoffs. I mean, don't you, if you're Florida, say we're going to take Tampa Bay's game plan and we're just going to finish? Tampa Bay didn't finish. We've got finishers.
David, I'm with every assessment you gave. Stay out of the box. You led the league in penalties during the regular season. You tied for the most penalties in the first round. It was a 7-game series. It was a physical series. But they took a lot of minor penalties. Boston was very good on the power play, yet they still didn't win the series. Toronto's power play is every bit as lethal as Boston's. You want to play physical, but you want to play right on that edge.
Don't you think one of these 2 goalies comes back down to earth a little bit? Samsonov was outstanding after game 1. He really was. He outplayed Vasilevsky. It's never happened before. We've never, in the last 9 years, talked about a Lightning series in which we thought the other goalie. Now, I will say Shesterkin was amazing last year in the conference final. The Lightning were just so much better than the Rangers. But, I mean, we've never really talked about another team's goalie outplaying Vasilevsky before. Samsonov was better than Vazzy was. All right. Man, Bob's game is so Jekyll or Hyde. When he's on, he's a big goalie. He seemingly, he can have that 42 save night and lead you to a win, and he can give up 6 goals on 20 shots. I mean, which goalie, if you had to bet our $20, which goalie comes back to earth first?
Bob. I think Samson's a better goalie.
Okay. Even though Bob's won the Vezina, and think about it, the 2 biggest upsets in the last 30 years in NHL playoff history, he's been the goalie for both.
But he wasn't great in that series in beating Boston. He was good, I mean, they used both goaltenders. It wasn't just Bob. They had to kind of go back and forth and piecemeal this together. And I say Bob because I'm just more concerned about Florida staying out of the box.
Tell you what, if you're the Panthers, if Bobrovsky can play like he did in Game 7, okay, if he can give you that, I think you got a real shot in this series. Leafs in 6.
Took the words right out of my mouth, David. Took the words right out of my mouth. The Leafs had this thing just open right up for them after beating Tampa. They finally got the curse of the first round past them. They put a lot of pieces in place to make this run. Those pieces played well. Their top players started to play as the series was going on. They have a lot of confidence right now in their abilities to score the puck. So I think it will take an unbelievable effort of Florida staying out of the box, limiting Toronto's power play chances, because if they don't do that, they're in big trouble.
And in our remaining moments, it is only Steph and LeBron. For the 5th time in the playoffs, they met in 4 finals, and now here they are. Winner goes to the conference finals. Golden State with home court. They're a 4.5-point favorite tonight. These two, one of them has been in, 11 of the last 12 finals? 11 out of 12, 12 out of 13, something like that. So what do you think?
Lakers in 7. I think Davis at the end of the day is the biggest X factor in this. If he's healthy, I don't see how Golden State has an answer for him.
Lakers are deeper. Lakers are slower.
Unfortunately, I don't think that Anthony Davis is going to stay healthy in this series, and I think Golden State's going to win it.
Felipe, first off, with the way guys are getting hurt in this playoffs, that's a hell of a prop bet for you to make. It really is. I applaud you for it. Never mind Anthony Davis's history. This is 2 more weeks. Can AD stay healthy for 2 more weeks? 6-7 games. Chris Paul, game 2 against Denver, hurt again. 7 games into his playoffs, Chris Paul's hurt.
He's never
AD's already played 6. Can AD go 12, 13 straight playoff games without getting hurt? Anthony Davis?
Did he play that many in the regular season without getting? I mean, I think he never did that many in a row without a load management day or taking a few days off for a tweaked whatever.
Lakers, Warriors. So you go Lakers in 7, huh?
Yes.
I don't know. It's tough to kill off Steph. I'll go Warriors in 7.
Imagine that.
10 seconds.
Warriors in 6. I hate betting against LeBron. I hate it, but I have to. So that when he wins, it's even better.
Well, the NBA is winning. They're going to have Steph or LeBron in the conference final. They're thrilled.
Miller and Moulton. For those of you in Tampa Bay, St. Pete, Lake City, Port Charlotte, and Venice, we'll do this all over again 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. The bonus hour and the 239, that is next.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
You know what I figured out? That glass partition actually helped a little bit because it prevented the wind from blowing right directly on me from the AC unit.
Gotcha.
And it's not just me. I was talking to Gina about it yesterday morning. She's like, I was putting my hands around my coffee cup to warm up the other day. It was so cold in there. Felipe's room's warm.
Yep. By the way, that whole Comcast Xfinity NFL Network dispute that lasted 24 hours.
What's that?
Xfinity announced yesterday they no longer will have the NFL Network / Red Zone.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the NFL and Xfinity made a deal today.
So the Giants and the Padres are playing a series in Mexico City.
They just did.
Or they just did, my bad. Did you know that stadium is a higher elevation than Coors Field?
Yeah, it's over 7,000 feet. They had the first game they played there, they hit 11 home runs.
My God.
Oh, I could put up. It's still freezing in this room. I just need to bring a jacket in here. I just feel like an old man when I do that. Yes, we talked about that earlier. David thinks there could be a moment of silence tonight at the Leafs game for him.
I definitely think there will be.
Do they show the anthem of every basketball game that's out in the playoffs? They don't show the anthem, do they, Felipe?
No.
Sometimes they do, but typically no.
Not till the finals, though, right?
Right, yeah. Like in the finals.
I don't get why hockey, I mean, they're going to show with this Leafs Panther series, they're going to show both anthems. That's 4 minutes. I'm not trying to be
No, I feel you.
anti-patriotic here, but really?
Yeah. That's usually when you go to commercial break.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour, Miller and Moulton, on this Tuesday. Thanks so much for being with us. Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Happy birthday to Mark's daughter. She's 9. Going to get a good meal out of it tonight after having a party over the weekend. It's nice. It's nice when you can make it a 2-day event. That's a good birthday.
She even, I always, every morning, the last thing I do is after I say goodbye to my wife, I go upstairs and say goodbye to my daughter, and she's asleep. So I give her a little hug and a kiss, and that usually wakes her up, and she goes right back to bed. Not this morning. Not this morning. Today is my birthday. I'm getting up, and you are all going to celebrate me.
And this is different from the other 6 days. How?
Because of her excitement level. I think we all forget how great birthdays are as kids and just how much they look forward, or we looked forward to them, and how big that day is.
Can I ask a question of all of us? And maybe I'm lumping us all into a grouping that is unfair. But I get the sense as we get older that we don't like our birthdays as much. And I just ask the question, why? You do know what
we're getting closer to the end.
I know, but you do know what the alternative is, right?
I gotcha.
The alternative is we've reached the end. So I don't know why it is as we get older, we don't go, it's my birthday? Yes!
Made another one.
Yes! I mean, when we're younger, it's kind of, we should go, I get it. Right. Yeah. It's my birthday. Okay. I'm going to have like a bunch of these, knock on wood. So
Felipe, when is your birthday?
July, middle of July.
I remember that you announced it on the show last year.
Yes.
During Today Was the Day When, and I can tell by the smirk on your face that you still really like your birthday.
Yeah. I get excited for my birthday. I mean, it's usually in the middle of the summer. I mean, not usually, it is in the middle.
I was going to say, does it change sometimes?
No. It's in the middle of the summer, so everyone's on vacation. So, I don't see a lot of people outside of my family, really. So I'm usually relaxed on my birthday. It's all that's on is baseball. I mean, nothing really crazy going on in sports. So yeah, it's pretty relaxing.
So was the bubble going on during that year, during your birthday? Was that your greatest birthday ever? Had it not started yet?
I think they were playing exhibition games before. So yeah, it was just getting started.
I mean, because for Felipe, bubble basketball would have been nirvana. Bubble birthday basketball.
It was more of that whole fall, really.
Felipe would have been the one in which they were talking about, should they move the NBA season and make it more of a spring-summer thing? After all, it's a spring-summer sport. And Felipe would be like, hell yeah, absolutely, make it a summer sport.
Basketball is not a spring-summer sport.
Felipe, when do people play basketball?
In the summer.
Yeah.
And in the winter in the gyms, because that's why it was invented by Dr. Naismith. But the kids can play in the snow or when it's snowing outside.
But the game, like, it's difficult to get time at a gym. It's difficult to get access to a gym. Every neighborhood's got a playground. Okay. You play basketball when the weather's good. That's the spring and summer. That's when you play basketball. And so there was talk for a while of, should the NBA not compete with football during the first half of their season? And should they basically start their season in February and play into the summer? After all, it's an outdoor spring-summer sport.
Well, other than hockey, every sport is perfect to play over the summer.
Yeah, baseball plays in the spring and summer.
Well, then why don't we play football in the summer then?
Well, some leagues have tried it. It's not working. Remember, what's football weather? The fall. And we don't mind a little snow occasionally with our football. That's football weather. So, but there was talk for a while, but the NBA, I mean, here's the funny thing. For as much as people are complaining about the NBA, NBA attendance this year was amazing. I mean, they're selling the seats. Now, whether or not everybody's filling them and whether or not everybody's happy with the product and the load management, that hasn't affected the gate at all.
Yeah, I was about to say whether or not everyone else is playing.
Yeah, I think the load. I mean, the load management's the problem. The product is what it is, and some people may not find it pleasing. But and I've watched a decent amount of these playoffs and I know it's the playoffs versus the regular season, but we could say the same thing in a lot of ways about the NHL. Hockey, the game's changed. Mm-hmm. Last night there was a monster open ice hit. You'd see one of those a game 10, 12 years ago.
By the way, and ratings have gone up too. I mean, since the downfall that it took during COVID. But I mean, these first round playoff games between the Warriors and the Kings are literally some of the most watched first round playoff games ever.
Hey, you've got LeBron James and Steph Curry. Okay, it's their generation's Jordan.
And they are going to get huge, even though it's at night, they'll get big ratings for that series.
Yep.
And they just had, not that the NHL is competition for the NBA, but with what happened in the NHL, you're going to see the storylines after the second round. NHL numbers down 30% from a year ago. NBA numbers probably just based on the Lakers and Warriors alone could be up. But I mean, we've got Sixers and Celtics. They've only played each other more than any other teams played one another in the playoffs. They've had like however many series against one another.
Mm-hmm.
Two big basketball markets. So, and then the Knicks and Miami. The second round NBA numbers could be really good.
Outstanding. Could be outstanding.
How upset is the NHL that the Panthers are there and they don't get a Bruins Leaves series from a rating standpoint?
They're dying.
No, Felipe. It's
terrible.
The Rangers and the Bruins both went out. You cannot ask for a worst case scenario for the National Hockey League.
And out west, the number one draw went out too in Colorado. Of the teams that were available to advance, Colorado was the best draw out west. A, because of the market, and B, because they're the defending Stanley Cup champions. Oh, no. The NHL from a TV, Turner and ESPN had a disastrous 24 hours. Disastrous Sunday night, Monday night. The three teams they desperately wanted to win all lost. And in fact, it will be a test. Hockey ratings were up. Every day of the hockey playoffs has been up compared to the year before and the matchups and what have you. 20, 30 plus %. Now you're going to find out who the true hockey fans are. I mean, Felipe, you've watched more hockey now because you're associated with us and we've kind of beaten you over the head with it. And you've learned to appreciate it because of it. You've sampled it and you go, wow, what these guys are talking about is pretty cool. Carolina, New Jersey. Toronto, Florida. Now, you'll watch because of the Panthers a little bit, but it's going up against the Heat and the Knicks damn near every game. All right. Then out west. Edmonton, Las Vegas. Dallas, Seattle. I mean, this is whoo-wee from a TV rating standpoint.
I wonder how it would do if it was an all-Canadian Stanley Cup.
It'll do horribly. It'll do horribly because you won't have a major market to just boost those numbers anywhere.
Even though two incredibly compelling stories. The best player in the sport plays for Edmonton. That's not debatable. And Toronto has not won the Cup since 1967, and they're the number one team in our border nation to the north. And we can all relate to Red Sox, Cubs, Rangers, Blackhawks, Wings. I mean, name the team that has had a 40, 50, 60, 80, 100-year drought that they've all exercised here in the last 25 years. We've all know the storylines. But would we get into it if it's north of the border? Probably not.
And that's sad
Probably
because,
not.
again, like what you said, from a hockey standpoint, that sounds like an incredible series. That's
Oh,
like extremely dramatic series.
It would be, and the problem is that hockey doesn't promote its stars the way that the NBA promotes its stars. McDavid has not been on TV in the States nearly enough. David and I have only talked about it on this show 500 times, it seems like. Why do we get another night of Washington and Pittsburgh when we could have Edmonton on? Why do we get another night of the Chicago Blackhawks who aren't going to make the playoffs when we could have Edmonton on? But those are the choices that the networks have made, and the league has never been about promoting stars. It's been about promoting the team.
Also, Felipe, football and basketball, there's much more of an individualistic part, particularly basketball. In hockey, it is frowned upon from when you're 6 years old to when you're 36 years old for you to put yourself out there even remotely equal to the team, never mind in front of it. They do not like individualism in hockey. It is all about the team.
They run an ad, and it'll probably start here shortly if they still run the same one, because now they've got the Kiss Me where the song's playing and they're all kissing the cup, which is a great little ad. But they had the one a couple of years ago where it was 40 different players that they cut into a 30-second ad of going, we. They don't, the team and we. It's not about I. And that's the way the game's been inbred in these young men for, as David said, since they were 6 years old.
Whereas we're talking about who? Steph and LeBron before we talk about the Warriors and the Lakers. And in hockey, you mentioned an individual before you mentioned the team. The team gets offended. The sport gets offended. Now, in the 21st century, they may want to change that a little bit.
I was about to say, do they want to make money or do they not want to make money? Because the only person that I know on the Oilers is Connor McDavid.
Right. And meanwhile, his teammate is probably one of the 10 best players in the game, and Leon Draisaitl.
5.
Yeah, okay. Right. And 93% of our audience doesn't know who the hell we're talking about. But yeah, the NHL from a TV rating standpoint, the NBA has had a glorious last 48 hours. From the games they've gotten and the upsets and the game sevens and who's meeting in the second round. And oh, by the way, if there were to be any competition from the NHL, the big 3 TV draws all got eliminated.
When your 6, 7, and 8 seeds are Golden State, the Lakers, and the Heat, you've done well.
Yes.
You've done really well. Think about how that could have been if the upsets were the other way. If the Hawks would have won and beaten Boston, that's no good for the league. Miller and Moulton. I may try to see if I can really get David going this morning. It's coming next. Stay tuned right here. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill, the Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Paul Reed is from Apopka? Interesting. B-ball Paul. Yeah, he was a big free throw shooter last night. Don't you just love it when big men can hit their free throws?
I like it when anybody can hit their free throws.
You know what? That's a good point.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
$21 after the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when. Our final thoughts and picks coming up in a little less than 20 minutes' time. Seth Everett. Oh, will he be in a good mood tomorrow? And we'll have game 2, Knicks Heat to look back on. Game 1, Panthers Leafs to look back on. It'll be a good hump day tomorrow. Yeah. All right. I have to admit, we have not talked about what it is that you're going to throw at me here, so I'm curious.
Well, we had too good of a show going, David, for me to derail the show earlier. But
Okay.
what is the strangest thing that you've ever eaten?
I don't know. I've never eaten anything that was still moving. Nothing crazy like that. But
Because a
eel,
Michelin,
maybe?
What's that?
Eel?
All right. That's out there a little bit. But there is a chef, a Michelin star chef. There's no higher compliment you can give a chef than be a Michelin star chef. Very hard to do.
Okay.
Dabis Munoz is from Madrid. Was invited to try a dish by a Japanese chef, and he was blown away. The delicacy called shiraku is harvested from pufferfish, octopus, monkfish, and cod. Sirocco is a name for fish semen.
Excuse me?
Fish semen. They extract it by separating the sperm sacs in the male fish, and they can vary in color from a white to a pinkish tone.
Huh.
Those that have tried it described it as strange, smooth and creamy, and having the taste of the sea.
What is this, like tuna? Is that what you're trying to sell me on? Is this like canned tuna?
It's something. And you know me, there's not much that I won't eat. I can
No.
experiment with food and go pretty, this is like doing the Rocky Mountain oysters.
And what would surprise you, considering it's common knowledge, if you listen to the show for any length of time, that there's not a lot of cooking that's done in a Moulton household, yet my wife watches so many of the cooking shows. And I do from time to time go, why is it that this interests you? I couldn't get you in the kitchen with a subpoena.
Not to mention, you guys, may go to a nice chain restaurant for a big dinner.
Yeah, that's a really nice night out. A nice chain restaurant. Absolutely. Yeah. A buddy of mine went to Cheesecake Factory last night. I went, wow, I haven't been there in a while. Going to have to put that on the list. Right. That's a big night out for the Moultons. Right.
Does she watch the cooking shows and actually act as if she's going to start cooking?
No. and yet loves them. Loves the baking shows. Oh my goodness. I mean, we have to do like the instant chocolate chip cookies once a month. You know, it's already sliced for you. You throw them out there. 12 minutes later, they heat up. You got cookies. Right. That's baking in our house.
All I know is that the Rocky Mountain oysters in the Shikaro, I mean, that is some kind of surf and turf for you right there.
So the semen from a blowfish, is that what you're?
No, from a monkfish.
A monkfish.
A pufferfish.
A pufferfish.
An octopus and a cod.
A pufferfish. What's a pufferfish? Is that the big cheeks, the air?
Yeah.
Puffer. Okay.
So there you go. A new delicacy is out there.
Well, good luck to them. There's got to be something else on the specials that I'd choose. Got to be. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to get that out there in case anybody's looking for a new delicacy out there.
Where do we have to travel for this fine
right
thing?
now, Japan or Spain, but come on, it's not going to be too far away.
Really?
Miami puts that on a menu.
Spain, that doesn't surprise me. I went to Spain when I was 12 and I had bull testicle.
Yeah, Rocky Mountain oysters. That's
yes.
Right. And you did have them.
Yes.
How were they?
They were good. I really hate to say it, they were good because it sounds gross. But
yes,
up there.
Yes, it does. And there's usually a joke about something like that. What's it taste like? Tastes like chicken, right? Mm-hmm.
Well, I know you get like tripe, and there's a lot in the Latin culture where they eat a lot of the intestines and a lot of things that we don't eat. And I've tried some of the tacos that are the tongue and some of that stuff, and tried it.
There's some fish delicacies where they'll fry the eyeball.
Could you do like the Asian delicacy when you go and you sit down at one of those outdoor places and the stuff's in front of you and it's moving?
Oh no.
See, I couldn't do it. And you know me, Mark. I mean, my stomach, I can eat it. I may not like it, but I can eat it. I never throw up, ever. But man, oh man, the thought of eating stuff that's moving.
See, I think I could take it and just swallow it. But to chew that
while it's live?
Yeah.
Hell no. No. This goes
like
back
an oyster, it just slides down.
Oh. No. I like my, bugs, seafood, whatever it is, just like I like my meat cooked. Golly.
Well, I know when we used to have Sushi Tuesdays, back when we were doing afternoons, that bothered you in and of itself, just a plate of raw fish thrown up. We had to really get you to where there was one warmed up item that you would eat, and then you started eating them like they were popcorn.
Right. Okay. And you had to, you had to beat me down. You had to say, listen, I'm telling you, you will like this. And no, I will not. David, you will like this. It just, and you were right. But the other stuff, the raw fish, cook it for goodness sakes.
What's your favorite cooked fish?
I'm sure for David, it's something fried.
No, actually, no. I'm a big, I love my lobster. I love my shrimp. Okay. Which I know is not what you're thinking of. You're thinking more along the lines of like a cod or
neither of them are
salmon.
fish either. Yeah. Not so you did not answer my question.
Okay. Well, I did probably, I guess I would go, I don't know, salmon, I guess.
Food with David. There you go. But he won't do the moving fish or the raw. No.
Did
you do Rocky Mountain oysters when you were in North Dakota?
Yes, absolutely. You have to. I mean, honestly, once you cross the state line, they pull you over. They say, listen, how much time are you going to spend? I go, I'm going to be here a few years. Okay, here's 3 things you have to do before you leave. That's one of them. I went cow tipping. Okay, I did. They don't like it. Okay.
Who would?
I mean, think about it. If
you're laying in bed, someone throws you on the floor. Like, that's a really good idea.
Right. I used to think it's like somebody throwing a bucket of water on me when I was sleeping. Imagine how I'd wake up. Might be a little ornery.
Right. I might chase something down.
Exactly. I might chase you through the house. And sure enough, they chased us. Mm-hmm. By the way, you run away from a cow the same way you run away from a gator. You zigzag.
And just be faster than one other person that you're tipping the cow with.
Correct. Can't be the slowest tipper.
So there you go. I waited as long as I could. I had this last night.
Oh, thank goodness.
In the event that I needed something in the 7 o'clock hour to derail this show.
Glad we had two guests.
Brought them both up to Samson since he's doing Levitard's show today. Thought maybe might want either of those stories.
So that's what you were talking to him about.
Miller and Moulton. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Today was a day when, and what's on tap is what lies ahead in the bonus hour right here on the Florida Sports Network.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
10 seconds.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
The home stretch at 22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. 16 minutes till we're out of here. Mark, when teams get eliminated, you begin to find out the truth in the NHL about injuries. Some of the lightning injuries are being made known. Jeannot had a high ankle sprain. Easimont and Cernak with concussions. We knew that. Neither one would have been cleared yet. Hedman with a hip impingement. And Braden Point, rib cage cartilage fracture, which had to have happened when he went sliding into the boards there and got crushed after doing so. So,
that's one tough kid right there.
Yeah, it is. 2 years in a row, too. He's gotten hurt in the playoffs. So, Lightning going to get some time off that they haven't had in a while. And we'll see how much of a difference that'll make next year. Don't know how many changes there's going to be to this team. They have $2.4 million in cap room and no draft picks. So you want to talk about having to get creative or roll it back. That's the Lightning.
And if anybody wants a raise, they're going to have to get one somewhere else.
Correct. And that's you, Corey Perry, and that whole third line there.
A lot of people think Killorn will stay, that he loves Tampa and may give him the hometown discount. I would not be so sure of that.
Maroon?
Gone.
Yeah. Tell you what, that's somebody the Rangers should go get. All right. A team needs a little nastiness. Team needs grit.
I actually think the team that just beat him could use him as well.
Yeah. I agree. I agree.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
1885 we start. The first Good Housekeeping magazine is published. How the hell could you keep a good house? We didn't even have a vacuum. 1918, General Motors acquires the Chevrolet Motor Company. Seemed to work out well for him.
Yeah, it really did.
39, Gehrig's streak ends at 2,130 consecutive games. The Yanks beat the Tigers that day, 22-2.
Took himself out of the lineup.
In 54, in a doubleheader, Stan Musial hit 5 home runs in a doubleheader against the New York Giants. It was today in 1967. Terry Sawchuk makes 40 saves. The Leafs beat the Canadiens 3-1 to take the title in 6 games.
For the last time.
They've been waiting ever since.
56 years. Is this the one?
68, the Celtics beat the Lakers in 6.
Second to last year for Russell and the Celtics. They beat the Lakers the next year in 7, and he'd go run triumphantly off the court into retirement.
78, with the first pick of the NFL draft, the Houston Oilers select running back from the University of Texas, Earl Campbell.
And Bum Phillips and Earl would go all the way to the AFC Championship game.
They never got to kick that sucker in.
Nope. Bum was quoted. They lost, they got blown out in the 78 season. They played Pittsburgh really tough in the 79 season. And what'd they say? It's like, we knocked on the door, we banged on the door, now we're going to go kick that sucker in. Didn't happen.
92, Lily T wins the Derby with Pat Day aboard. 97, Austin Powers International Man of Mystery is released.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
98, Real Quiet wins the Derby with Kent DeSormo aboard. 99, John Elway announces his retirement from the National Football League. In 2000, President Bill Clinton announces that accurate GPS would no longer be restricted to the U.S. military. How the hell did we get anywhere before that?
Yeah, really.
2008, the first film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is released, Iron Man. 2015, American Pharoah wins the Derby. On that same night, Floyd Mayweather Jr. beats Manny Pacquiao on points in a fight that should have happened at least 8 years prior to that.
I think it's the last fight I paid for.
It shattered all financial records for a boxing match. You and I both
the last one.
And it was a terrible fight.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? The first half of the fight was decent. It really does look like, if you were to ever watch the fight again, Pacquiao must have gotten hurt. The second half of the fight, he was non-existent. I had the fight like 4-2 Mayweather after 6 rounds, but the fight was building and then it just stopped.
And in 2016, Leicester City wins the Premier League title after starting the season at 5,000 to 1.
Wow, that's been 7 years already, huh?
I know.
They showed a scene yesterday. Somebody released it on Twitter of like a pub going absolutely crazy with Leicester City winning. And they literally asked the question, so if the Leafs were to win the cup, do you think it would top this celebration? And it is like the wildest celebration that like you've ever seen. But it does beg the question. I mean, if the Leafs can end, this is a Cubs Red Sox-esque curse for an NHL franchise north of the border.
For those that watch Ted Lasso, I feel like that's if AFC Richmond won the Premier League.
Those born today that are no longer with us, Eddie Collins, Benjamin Spock, who wrote all the kids' books of their children, how to raise your kid, their thing, and the Big Boss Man. Those celebrating birthdays today. Engelbert Humperdinck is 87. I just really wanted to say his name. Bianca Jagger is 78. The Rock is 51. David Beckham is 48. Kyle Busch is 38. Pat McAfee is 36. And Paul George is not only injured, he's 33.
That's funny. That's very funny. I got 3 other people who either died or were killed today. Joe McCarthy died today, the senator who caused all sorts of havoc back in the day. J. Edgar Hoover died today in 72. And believe it or not, it was 12 years ago today we killed Osama bin Laden. And the Loch Ness Monster, Mark, 90 years ago today was spotted for the first time. May 2nd of 33. Appeared in the paper and everything.
Along with Bigfoot and the Yeti.
The newspaper chose the phrase monster when relaying the story and putting it in the paper, etc. The newspaper Inverness Courier relates an account of a local couple who claimed to have seen, quote, an enormous animal rolling and plunging on the surface. The story of the monster chosen by the Courier editor becomes a media phenomenon. London newspaper sending correspondents to Scotland. They offered £20,000 in sterling for capture of the beast. And, well, there you go. The sighting apparently took place in late April, made the paper today, 90 years ago.
Just a couple NBA notes. Today in 2014, Damian Lillard sent the Trailblazers to the second round for the first time in 14 years on a catch-and-shoot buzzer-beating three-pointer at the horn to win. And Isaiah Thomas, my generation's Isaiah Thomas, the 5'9" point guard Isaiah Thomas, scored 53 points just a couple weeks after his sister tragically passed away, dedicated the game to her. That was an unbelievable performance by IT.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
We have got to get him a job with NBA radio or NBA TV.
I was
really
going to say, I'm only going to do the good because he just did the bad and the ugly for me.
His enthusiasm, though, he remembers it. It's cute. He'd be great.
Are these all top of mind, or do you get a service that sends you obscure NBA tidbits from the day?
No, just go.
I mean, celebrating the Blazers making the second round.
Right. It was an incredible look.
It was great. It was NBA TV. It'd be awesome.
But you just have that in the back of your head that it was today, May 2nd?
No.
Or do you have a service that sends you bad random NBA tidbits?
I have a service that reminds me the final result of that series, and I remember how it ended. And I was like, oh, that was the Lillard shot.
Be careful. I've worked with a guy who thought he remembered things a certain way, and that sometimes, very rarely, sometimes is wrong. Only when we do trivia.
He's talking about me, by the way.
We go to Naples for the good, where kids were attending a camp for years, but some on special needs were going to be unable to, who needed personal care services, feeding and dressing. It was going to cost them a lot of extra money. A group of generous donors came back to make sure every single kid will be able to attend camp. That's awesome. For the bad, we go to Cape Coral. Oh, I'm sorry, Charlotte County. It's so easy to say Cape Coral when it's Charlotte County, where Jose Gomez was driving a Dodge Caravan when he ran into someone, fled the scene, went into an apartment complex, hit 4 more cars, and then headed back home.
Come on, man. Get it together.
Deputies made it to the door of the owner. According to the owner, his roommate just got home and may have used the van without permission. When they interviewed Gomez, he confessed to being in the van, but said, I wasn't driving.
Really?
A friend drove me.
Really? Got a name?
Didn't have one.
Huh.
For the ugly, we go to Pensacola, where Edward Busby was booked into the Escambia County Jail after being pulled over in a Winn-Dixie parking lot. The deputy asked Busby and a pastor what they were doing, and they said they were eating sandwiches. He had an active warrant for his arrest. When they decided to check him out, he told them that he had a rolled up piece of plastic in his sock. Tested positive for meth. When the canines searched the car, they found his M&M Minis container full of more meth. Dude, what are you doing running around at the Winn-Dixie? I don't get it. They're morons. And they are today's good, bad, and ugly on May the 2nd, 2023.
I'm guessing the meth had a little something to do with the erratic behavior, but that's just me. All right. Heat and Knicks, game 2 tonight. Knicks a 6.5-point favorite, 7:30 TNT. TNT is the basketball doubleheader. Lakers Warriors, 10 o'clock. Golden State a 4.5-point favorite, game 1 of their series. Jimmy Butler, a game time decision for the Heat. The NHL's on ESPN. If you're a big South Florida sports fan, Felipe. Fortunately, the Heat and the Panthers are staggered a half hour apart. Florida-Toronto starts at 7. You can watch the whole first period before the Heat Knicks tip-off. Seattle-Dallas scheduled for 9:30. By the way, Seattle's the faster team. Dallas is the team built for the playoffs. I think if Seattle's going to get one in Dallas, Mark, I actually think their best chance is tonight because Dallas may have trouble with Seattle's speed. Seattle's a lot faster than Minnesota, who Dallas
4
played
lines.
in the first round.
Every line has speed. There's
Right.
really not much difference the way Seattle plays from line 1 to line 4.
I actually think we're curious which team's just going to go from game 7 and play essentially game 8. Panthers or Seattle. I actually give Seattle a better chance tonight in Dallas than I do Florida in Toronto, but what do we know?
Vegas gives Dallas a slight chance better. It's minus 186 for Dallas, minus 175 for Toronto. So you're in the same ballpark, David.
So the Marlins are hosting the Braves. The Rays are hosting the Pirates. The teams with the two best records in baseball. Both games are at 6:40. The nationally televised game tonight is TBS Toronto-Boston. Dodgers-Phillies is on ESPN Plus. Bryce Harper scheduled to return 160 days after Tommy John surgery. Tony Womack came back after 184 20 years ago. 160 days. He had the Tommy John surgery right before Thanksgiving. Expected to DH tonight for the Phillies. How about that? Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening. We'll do it tomorrow.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah. Hi.